You're on camera. Say something.
Last night and night before, there was 3 women walking down the street that way. I saw them. I said, hey, you 3 women, why are y'all walking down the street that way? There's nothing down there. And they flew away. I said, oh, them was some birds.
I'm sorry. No! Why? Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
Could be Trump. Yeah. Trump. Oh yeah. Trump. 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 Could be Trump. Yeah. Trump. Oh yeah. Trump.
Yo, it's time to level up. Get that firepower. We taking it all. Yeah. Boots on the ground. I'm running this race. Rick Buster with the knuckles. No time to waste. Through the mushroom fields where the wild things grow. Jumping higher than the clouds. Let the energy flow. Never fold. Never break. Every step I take, I make the ground quake. Big shell creeping. He's the king of the crawl. But I'm built for the heat. I'm taking it all. Keep pushing through the hills, never back, never fall. It's a battle every step, but I'm taking it all. Fire in my soul, yeah, I'm breaking the walls. No matter what it takes, I'm saving it all.
Did Bruce like a dog? That's where things start to go wrong. Metropolis ain't your playground. Guess who's laughing now? You gave us loser coins, what's the deal? Paid for skins, but got a rotten deal. 4 seasons in, but no one stayed to play. Game over, man, the game's too gay.
Patch it up, burn it down, make it free. Nope, rebuild hype, cash us out, then repeat.
Long ago, in a distant thread, I didn't give a fuck, but a foolish voice actor wielding a QWERTY keyboard stepped forth and insisted that I should. Barbara, thanks, but I don't give a fuck. Barbara, thanks, but I don't give a fuck. Thanks, but I don't give a fuck.
honest, I was not very steeped in the comics.
I didn't read any comics or do any research.
I wasn't familiar with comics. I wasn't familiar with the movies.
We didn't lean into a whole lot of the history of the comic books.
Yeah, candidly, we were not enormous comic fans.
I wasn't super into superhero comics when I was a kid. I read a lot of like indie press stuff.
First thing I was told is don't read the comics.
Really?
As a creator, they put you in a bubble. They don't let you talk about any of the other projects, right?
You know, they're up for anything.
We ultimately decided to redefine it for the series and thought that it worked better for the story that we're trying to tell.
Did you ever read you've never read the comic?
When the DVD comes out, I'm going to read a Thor comic book and just see where we went wrong.
Mama, we must run. The Wendigo Yakuza are here.
Underneath the moon's cold light, whispers linger in the night. Shadows dance with subtle grace. Secrets hide in every space. Velvet skies and sapphire dreams. Cities pulse, electric beams. Lonely hearts in shadowed bars. Fading tales beneath the stars. We dance in twilight's tender glow, where time moves soft and slow. Eyes meet in a silent song, in the night where we belong.
All that was AI. All of that. The only thing that wasn't AI was the thunder strike and the Mexican man laughing for the demon laugh. That was it. Everything else, even Zeno's Russian voice, right? Because he's Russian blue. Get it?
Yeah, he's the Russian blue. Yeah.
So he has a Russian voice. Even though there's like, flamenco music in the background, Spanish guitar. I almost called it a Mexican guitar. Get in trouble. But yeah, we're here to talk about stuff like that. There is a tutorial video available. I will make sure that we put that in the description after the stream's over with. So if you guys are catching this in the replay, you can check down below right now for an actual tutorial on how to create anime like that. Now, I'm going to keep everybody's expectations very low. You cannot do action scenes. The best you can do are like those emotional sort of like the hair moving in the wind, some camera movement. That's about it. I got really lucky with having Jacob's character lowering his arm and looking up and saying those things, and Nerdigan's character having the camera sweeping around and her looking down at the cat. That was very, very lucky. Very, very, very lucky. Okay, I just want to stress that. There's not like a one-to-one, like you'll get that result if you try that, okay? It took a lot of, pull the lever, wait for a result. That doesn't look quite right. Pull the lever again. It took a lot of that, okay? So just please bear in mind, it's very, very much cutting-edge technology on this. I'm not trying to stress that it's kind of like some kind of Dr. Frankenstein with this. It just literally is brand spanking new. 5 weeks ago, I would not have told you that was possible, what I just showed you.
That's insane.
Right. That's how fast this is moving. So by probably springtime, you probably will be able to do straight up anime. It won't be as shaky as that stuff was. You'll probably be able to get a straight up consistent animation style out of it.
Kitty, you missed the anime because you were passed out for a second. You were in the anime, Kitty.
Well, I appreciate it. We're going to be showing that one as our new 01 intro for 2025. And I would like to do a couple more of these, but they're very short things. It would be just these characters. If you guys don't mind us being animeified. Here's the secret, okay? So you know who Jacob is, obviously. You know who Nerdigans is, obviously. You know who Spencer is, obviously. I'm Vampire Sephiroth, Okay. And so the problem was I did everybody else's design, and then I came to me, and I was like, oh, how do I look different from everybody now?
It's Vampire Sephiroth.
Well, the problem is that blonde guys go white in the manga style.
Yep.
Their hair goes white, so I can't, and my hair's not blonde, mind you, but it is kind of long here, and it is brown. It's not black like Spencer's hair. So every time I was trying to get a result out of it with, a European guy wearing a black hat with brown hair, it kept giving me just Spencer wearing a hat over and over and over. And so I was like, what am I going to do? I can't, they're not going to understand that that's not Spencer on the other side of the collage there. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll just be Vampire Sephiroth and go with it. So obviously I'm so hurt by being Vampire Sephiroth. It's going to really just such an ego thing, So, it hurts so bad to have to be Vampire Sephiroth. But if you guys don't mind those characters, I will be doing more with them. You will hear our voices coming out of that intro in a few days once I get everybody's recording done.
Oh my god,
So,
I'm gonna be doing voice acting. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
You'll be an actual anime character for
I'll be
reals.
an anime character for reals. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to send this to my Aniplex Insider and see what they think.
Most of the AI I've seen has been very bad. 14
It's been
toes,
very
8
bad.
fingers. Yeah, it's really only in the last 6 months that this has been like
Well, and a lot of it's been like lazy AI too. It hasn't been like really thorough, like thought out AI, at least on the
Right.
Western side. On the Eastern side of things, they, from what I've seen, and probably what you guys have noticed too, is because you can't tell if it's AI or not, they're really thorough with how they use AI. A good example is if you go to the Kengan Mangaka Teromion's Twitter page, they show how they use AI in their manga art, and they're extremely thorough in how they use it. So you can't even tell it's AI. Very interesting.
Well, and that's what Kenneth Domingo says here. He's talking about that, and he says, that's true. I saw an ad for a game that uses AI for the animation within its advertisement, but even I can't tell right away that it's AI generated.
Yeah.
Yep, and to be honest with you, a lot of the animation that you saw in that intro, it is it's really based around the VTuber style, where
Yeah.
it's simulated animation, but it's really just stretching the image back and forth. The only time I've seen that do something different was when we saw Jacob's arm come down in that intro, Spencer's hand come up, and of course you with the camera spin. I've never seen the AI actually generate new images with the original in mind. Like Jacob's arm didn't turn into like a real life arm on the
No.
way down, Spencer's hand didn't turn into a real life hand. And I've never seen it do that before. Usually it'll use like just stock footage and it'll bring that through and it'll just be like a regular 3D hand that shows up in the middle of an anime. But it's crazy.
Yeah, but like from what I know in terms of like AI art, this is based off Daromion's anyway, is that usually with AI you either do it's like a Frankenstein kind of thing, or you do hand, or at least he does, hand drawn over AI, and that's how you mask it. Because you got to give it a little bit of, if you give the art a little bit of texture in there, then you can mask the AI generated art.
So these guys, Film Crux here, they put together a tutorial on how to do this. I found this while I was looking for more information on how to generate this stuff, because I'd made it as far as getting the images together, but I didn't know what video generator to use. I ended up not using the one they recommended, but it still worked. But yeah, so these guys right here, they talk about what they did to make this happen. I'm just going to show a few minutes of it. So, well, actually, I think I'll just show you the trailer too. So let me just jump over and take a look at that.
In this video, we're going to show you how to make your own anime using Vidu AI. If you want to see the anime trailer we made first, click here, and then come back to this video so you can find out exactly how we did it, so you can do it too.
Okay, so we're going to do that. So we're going to jump over and take a look at that. Now, I've got the volume turned down here, so you'll have to let me know if it's too low for you guys, but this is the trailer that they made using the process that I did to make ours. I just made ours black and white because I figured the colors wouldn't be so jumpy that way. It's one of the things I have like this hyper caution when it comes to AI art, because when video gets involved, the shadows go nuts. But I figured if it was in grayscale, it'd be way easier for the AI to keep track of that stuff. And well, you'll have to be a judge for yourself about how it worked here.
Overwatch, this is Alpha 2.
It appears our double agent scheduled an unsanctioned meeting with foreign intelligence.
One thing I want to stress right now, all the voices you hear are AI generated. I'll show you the website that did that for them because they explained everything and I went and did it to get the voice going for Xeno. So this whole thing, these are not actual voice actors. You're listening to AI voice actors, AI music, watching AI video animation here.
I'm in, but their net runners have already been taken offline.
Well, shit.
You know what my turn's on, mister. Let's drop the act and get to business, shall we?
I told you I didn't trust her at all when we brought her into the fold.
That's really not for you to say, is it? For all we know, she's still on mission.
Well, I'm not gonna wait around to find out.
This is all AI art, guys. None
And
of
this is AI voice too.
Right. All of it. The whole thing.
Do this, we're coloring way outside the lines here.
Just stick to the plan.
You have no idea what's coming.
Deadly.
Okay? This is where you can tell. Watch her jacket, okay?
Deadly.
See, that doesn't behave like anime jackets, right? The
No.
shadows stay much more consistent. They don't get blurry. However, when you apply like 3D stock footage to the animation process and it just rotoscopes that in over the image, yeah, it looks like a jacket blowing in the wind if it were like taken on a Netflix camera.
No survivor.
Do you even know what you're asking?
We don't really have a choice but to finish the mission as quickly as possible.
You'll die here, fool.
Mission complete.
Okay, so
I do want to
This
say
is-
this though: the English dubbed voice actors, they better watch out because a lot of the voice acting here, because it's AI, it does a lot better than the English dub voice acting, or a good chunk of it, not all of it, but a good chunk of the English voice acting that's coming out right now, in anime anyway. And plus, it's cheaper.
Yep, and that Bowsette points out the voices sound off as they would. This is a mechanically generated voice. Some of it is a voice changer. This is a website known as 11 Labs. They do text to speech stuff. I just want to make sure I have the right web page going on. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I do agree that some of it does sound off at times. They're not in sync with the animation, but compared to like a lot of the English dub anime that's out there, oh my god, it's night and day in terms of the pitch, because you could always adjust the pitch to make it sound more accurate.
Here, I'll just do this live right here in front of everybody. And we'll take the Fist of the North Star. I don't know what this guy's voice sounds like, so I'm just going to do this and we'll find out. But yeah, so this is Fist of the North Star, the catchphrase of "You're already dead." I can't say it. You can't do it in Japanese. You can if you want to, but none of us are going to be able to tell if that's correct. All right? So, but yeah. Oh, okay. You're already there. We'll see how that works.
Is it being dumb?
Yeah, well, you can't say that because it's a threat, and it doesn't want you to use the stupid thing to threat because it's so... There you go. There's a limitation, so you got to be careful with your language.
Censorship already.
Now, this isn't going to sound right because it doesn't understand what I want it to do. Well, maybe it will if I put more emphasis on it. But this, again, here's another heart. Selected model. Okay, so Clyde apparently can't be used this way. So let's tap Ron for it. See what Ron can do. Never mind. Apparently, it is impossible to do this today. I don't understand what the problem is.
See, there's limitations.
Apparently, I don't understand what the problem is. Okay?
It's making you look bad.
It really is. It says selected speech cannot be used. I don't understand. I have no idea what the problem is. It's, yeah. So apparently 11 Labs is going to be a piece of shit today. So All right, is this gonna do it? No, none of it. None of it's gonna do it. Okay, cool. Well, that was really fun. I'm glad that just decided today that for whatever reason that we're never gonna work again. So
It
that's
just
cool.
doesn't like you. It doesn't like being live. It doesn't want to be embarrassed.
Apparently, I'm really disappointed in this program because I don't understand what its problem is.
You don't understand either, Kitty, but you're passed out.
This hand of mine is glowing red.
Oh, no, you did it.
Yeah.
You just didn't want to. It was too embarrassed to be on screen.
Apparently, so there you can tell it's got its limitations. Now the voice changer, the voice, yeah. Well, yes, it is going to look kind of choppy. It is going to look silly and that kind of thing, and that's why I chose to make the movements limited with what we were doing in our intro, so that way it didn't kind of attract attention to the problem at hand. But as you can see, like the AI has its hiccups and things like that. I'm not really sure what its issue was. I changed the language model down to the V1, and so I have know why that did that. But in any case, the this stuff will generate voice for you. It will change your voice if you wanted to over to that. You've seen these Biden voice changes and stuff, and they sound really robotic.
Yeah.
The voice for Zeno in the beginning of the intro there was generated using 11 Labs. I recorded the accent and then found I think it was Pablo's voice there because he had that Russian sounding voice.
That's just random. That it's a Russian name, Pop.
Well, it's not. He's not. He's not. He's actually a Mexican sounding guy, or South American anyway. And so I have no idea where he comes from. And so that guy who recorded all that stuff. His tone matched a Russian when it was paired up with my Russian accent. So it wasn't Cider doing a Russian accent. It was a Mexican guy being AI'd into doing a Russian voice. I'm going to assume Mexican, okay? Sue me if I'm wrong. I'm very sorry, Pablo. I know that Mexico isn't the only place on earth that has Pablos. But for the sake of argument, I'd rather all anime sound like Morgan Freeman and Siri than have these woke-tards remain in the industry destroying IPs, which is, it's not going to be that bad because consider for a minute right now what you're dealing with are people recording on these things right here, all right? And now Shure is a great microphone. I sound a lot better than I did on my old Blue Yeti, but this is not a studio microphone. So when you get voice actors who do want to agree to this, not voice actors who have had their stuff pushed into the data pool without permission, when you do have people that are actually putting their voices in there, it probably won't sound so tinny. It won't sound so stilted because these people will be doing like thousands of sentences that the AI will then be able to sample noises from. And that's what it does, by the way, is it just samples noises together. It doesn't know what the words really are. It's just it understands that in English, the E only makes so many noises. And so when it's in a certain position in the context of the sentence, that's how it's applying everything. It doesn't understand what you're asking it to do on the, hey, can you clone Domon Kashu's famous catchphrase, this hand of mine is glowing red? It doesn't understand that. So you got to pull the lever 100 times to get it to the point where it sounds like Mark, the actor that played him that became a doctor like right after. You know that, right? Like he did Mega Man Mavericks, Mega Man X Maverick, and then he retired from voice acting completely and became a chiropractor in Vancouver.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he just bowed out doing the two greatest characters in dub history. He just bowed out right there.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Howdy. We're gonna go through that anime intro again. So if you guys are just dropping in now and you maybe missed it, we're gonna walk through it again. It is I am intensely proud of it, so you will be seeing a lot of it. But the only reason why I'm proud of it is not because my hard blood, sweat, and tears went into it. It took me 36 hours to make. It's one of the reasons why I'm astonished by this. It just kept working. So I just kept doing things and it kept working.
It's like when you're winning the jackpot in Vegas in the slots. You're just going and going and going.
But I cashed out before I lost everything. But
yes, exactly.
The thing is with this is that the reason why I'm proud of it is that I've been working with AI for about 3 years now, and I used to do stuff on another channel that used some of it. It was a lot of still images because you couldn't get the movement to look like anything you'd ever want a human being, animated or otherwise, to do. You know?
Yeah.
And now it's actually moving properly. So like again, by spring, you're probably going to have the ability to bridge the very boring frames that you would have with like the hair blowing and like the background waving a little bit. That stuff will probably be replaced in anime from like having a human do that, so that most of their time can be spent on the action scenes, the intense emotion scenes, that sort of stuff.
Oh man, it definitely. There's some scenes I could use it. You watched Bleach today, right? Did you watch the season finale of Bleach?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh my god. When you watch it, you'll be like, really? They used the budget for this when they could have used it for like Perdita's design or for some of the for Basby and Hashwat's fight, because Basby did not look like himself until like when he died, and it was just so frustrating to watch. God, I'm still frustrated about it. But like, and also there was the structure that was kind of questionable too. But then I posted it on my Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, you will see it. That Viz had decided to go cringe with the localization. They changed creepy, which was in the official the colored edition, which is the most accurate translation you can get because it's a fan translation. They changed it from creepy to cringe, and it was like the most frustrating thing I had to deal with today. I really wanted to just like tear my hair out when I saw it. I think who was it? It was Askin said like cringe, like at least like 7 or 8 times.
Where?
Oh God.
Did you post?
Oh, I have a thread for it, and they did cut. They cut out like a scene too, like a very They cut out well, Periot cut out a lewd scene, but where is it? It's way down there.
Apparently.
Did you find
Yeah.
it?
Nope. Oh, I'm still scrolling. I may have missed it. I don't
Oh,
know.
here it is. I found it.
Okay.
Here it is.
We're professionals here. We know what we do. Bowsette says, but you get my point, Kenneth. AI fully generated is doing better than talentless woke trash, and that's very true. One of the things that gets me is I'll go back and I'll listen to like the Gundam Wing dub, and the Gundam Wing dub is not fantastic.
No.
It's nostalgia ridden, absolutely.
But the voice actors sound good compared to like what you have now. It's the same thing. Well, it's the same thing. Here's my thing. It's like because I have Pokemon streaming on Pluto TV, and the voice actors and the Pokemon dub are just so good. They sound like the characters. They fit in the world. And then you listen to and the 4Kids dubs in general, their voice acting. You could the writing obviously because it's 4Kids writing.
For as much shit as One Piece 4Kids One Piece got, right? The
Their
Yayo
voice
Yayo.
the voice acting for 4Kids, they had fantastic voice actors sign on to them.
They spent their money right on that part. Maybe not with the actual like script, but they spent their money right on the voice actors, because that Luffy voice actor still is just the singular English voice actor for Luffy in my brain. Even when I'm reading the manga, I hear that voice actor's voice in my head. Even for Zolo, even for Nami, all of them, I hear the American 4Kids voice actors. The 4chan voice actors did a wildly different dub. But
yeah, it's the same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! It's the 4Kids actors did great. I think it's because nowadays they don't want to do accents and shit anymore. 4Kids back in the day, they were not afraid to do the accents and stuff like that. And some of those voices, when you read the manga, it's like with Kansai and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, you need to have like that kind of accent to just differentiate the different speeches. But yeah, you have cringe. That cringe. Yeah, I maybe cringe back then. It was about this was about Bambi. When she didn't respect I think it was Askin's was this when she didn't respect Askin's insensitivity or was it something else? I can't remember right now. But yeah, God, it just so fucking frustrating. I hate it so much.
I don't know. We don't have any active moderators right now, Bowsette. I don't know why anything would end up bounced. It's just YouTube sensors having a problem. Whoa, the cord. Whoa.
Oh, sorry.
But
here.
yeah.
But yeah.
I have no idea why that's happening, Bowsette. I've not changed any of the sensor settings either, so I have no idea why that would be poking that out.
Oh yeah, and then it gets better with when Yoruichi responds back, and I have the manga panel for it side by side here. She says, in the manga, she says, I can't say I'm familiar with this Bambi girl you're talking about, but I presume you're saying it's for it's a method for like stunning beauty. Yeah, a method for stunning beauties. And what I said is can't say girl, but saying women is okay. It's just I thought it was so weird because they said they got rid of girl and had Yoruichi said person. So it's like what?
Right.
But then she said, but that's how beautiful women fight, correct? I was like, really? You can't say girl, but women's okay.
Yep. Because then, they can.
Yeah.
Right. They can't because they can trans the conversation around women because there's birthing women you see and there's women who have periods, that kind of thing, right? So that way they can do that. They can't do that with girls because the conversation then you start thinking of like a small child. And then they don't want to talk about how they're transing the kids. They don't want to talk about that. They just want to imply it. So this Bambi person, right? So she's implying that she is they want Yoruichi to sound like she's not assuming pronouns, that Bambi could be a dude, right? That's what they're trying to do with all that. And it's this head mess that they create when it's just simply translate the original thing over. It's not an alien language. The Japanese has been around longer than American English.
But the rest of it is, this is like an after credit scene. Where you have Askin like just talking about like all, some of the stuff that happened over the season. And he's talking about like the different Bambis, like the different Bambis. And he says that each one is so cringy. And I'm just like, what? He says it about all of them. And the first one I put, like, and this is where I, advertise my Patreon stuff. That's the first one where he talks about like Yoruichi saying that makes me cringe. And then he says, goes through the rest of the Bambi saying that each of them are cringy. I'm just like, well, what? That makes no sense. Creepy makes a lot of sense because each of the Bambi's powers are kind of creepy. That makes sense. Cringy makes no sense in this context. Like, I understand because they changed one of his lines in the manga is about how Yoruichi doesn't know shit about, like she's not respecting his delicacy or whatnot. And they changed that to like insensitivity, but like that's roughly the same thing. So I'm like, okay, that's whatever. But changing creepy to cringe is like, what? What? That makes no sense at all.
It's like X of the Damned said here. Apparently, creepy isn't inclusive. And he goes on to expand what he had to say here. And he says, a couple Studio Ghibli movies got redubbed from the originals, and the redubs were just not as good as the originals, even with high-price actors. And you're seeing why right here. There's two things that happen. You can have a one-to-one translation with great voice actors, right? And it might turn out good, but odds are the passion isn't there. It's only when these people think that they're lecturing to you through their character that they've ripped off from Japan, that they've stolen from Japan now. This is like that Katrina woman. This is the only time that their passion comes alive is when they're lecturing to you through that character, rather than seeing like, do you remember in the original Ocean dub Vegeta? Like Chris Sabat may be the Vegeta everybody thinks of now, but the voice in Vegeta for me is the Ocean dub guy. The original high-pitched Vegeta.
Oh, Chris Drummond.
Yeah, that guy. He's the Vegeta in my head because he had passion to that voice. Chris Sabat's just doing his deep guy that doesn't get along with everyone voice that he's been doing since he was 14 years old in theater.
Yeah.
I'll say it in a different language. If anybody wants to know what that is, feel free to run that through Google Translate. I can't do that on StreamYard side, so I'm going to assume that that says Happy New Year and may God bless everyone. You know, a nice little Tiny Tim message there. But it's because I was saying X meaning Twitter, YT must be butthurt. Could be. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. But I haven't heard any changes in YouTube's like how they're going to talk about it. But this is what we're dealing with, though. It's going to continue eroding. It's going to continue being a thing, and that's why I wanted to bring this. It's been bumpy, but that's why I wanted to bring this AI anime stuff to the conversation today. Because while I am very impressed with what I was able to create here in just a short amount of time, you guys can go out and make this stuff. Most of this is freeware. To be honest with you, I just bought the membership in order to have like enough credits because I know this stuff isn't like pull a lever, get a perfect result every time. So that's all. I just wanted to make sure I could get the results I was aiming for. The only thing I advise people of is just have a general idea of what you want to make. I wanted to take the Cowboy Bebop style intro, but I also wanted to merge it with the Get Backers. So it just kind of evolved into this thing. Now I might try to talk my boss into letting me do a sponsored Kickstarter where we fund a manga for this, where we fund our adventures as these characters here. I have a whole story cooked up about it, and everybody's got their abilities and stuff like that. If you guys desire that, let us know, either in the comments, in the chat, wherever you'd like to, out on X, wherever you feel it's necessary. But it would be nice to know if you guys want to see more of this, because I think this is a good way to flip the American animation industry on its head. I don't want Japan to feel threatened by this. I want Hollywood, Disney, Pixar, Cartoon Network, what's left of it, to feel threatened by this. I want them to shake in their boots that in 36 hours, I can make a nearly legit anime intro. Just out of my ass. I didn't have a storyboard. I didn't even have a clear vision. Like I told you, I just wanted to ram these two things together, and I did my best. There's only one transition there that's pre-made, right? That's it. The rest of that stuff where we're all cast, like when you and Zeno are there in the two different parts, I used AI to generate those frames, that framing. When Spencer's there and he's looking off into the moon, and then that bar is sliding by with a rose appears, all of that is AI generated. Then I ran that through a video generator to give it the rose petals falling around him as it slides by, a little tiny character there. We'll go back through and I'll show you. But all that was AI generated. You don't even need to rely on pre-made things to make it look good anymore. It'll generate those neat little in Cowboy Bebop they had the moving squares and colors and things like that. It'll do that for you. You just got to be patient and feed it an image to work with and give it enough direction to tell it what it's supposed to do, and just be patient with it as it fumbles in the dark because it doesn't know what you want. You got to remember, the thing about AI right now is that it's not. It's only artificial. That's it. There's no intelligence there. It's an RG.
You still need to have a human there. It's kind of it's like what we're seeing in some manga localization where you still have an editor double check everything.
Right. And that's kind of the goal that I'm trying to explain here, is that like you as the person behind this can now create something. It's like 5 minutes long in a week. If you want to take that long, like I sat down and I applied like 36 hours almost straight working on it because I just kept getting results that I liked. And so I kept working on it. You may not want to take that much time and focus to do it, but you can, in a week, you can make a 5-minute anime. Like legit, like with voices that aren't yours, generated by this AI thing. And I could tell you right now, YouTube told us just a few months ago that they anticipated that 2025, 80% of the content uploaded to their platform was going to be AI generated in some form. Now, that's not to say that the human generated content's going to disappear.
No.
So all that human content is going to be there, but 80% of everything else uploaded, right? So the billions of videos that go up right now, 80% of that, plus 80% of that rather, plus 80% more is going to be uploaded starting next year. And you can be part of that. You can get in now with your anime thing. And what I want to stress about this, right? It's kind of shitty, all right? What you got to do is you got to find an artist. This is the only way to achieve consistency. It is the dark magic of all this. It's the foreboding, unnamed thing that very few AI generator people will tell you. And I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. I don't even know the guy that the AI identified the first Midjourney generated image as, okay? So I generated a Midjourney image. Then I asked Midjourney to read that image back to me. And it gave me an artist that I'd never heard of. And I kept feeding that artist's name into the prompt generator. And that's what gave me the consistent look of everybody. Consistent. Okay. I realized there's some shading here and there that's not right and stuff like that in that intro, but it is that close. So it's the dark magic of it all. Hi, Leslie. Hope everything's going well for you. Thanks for stopping by over the holiday too. We really appreciate you stopping in too. Just talking about AI generated anime and how anybody can do this now. And that should terrify Hollywood immediately. Because, like, people don't want 4-hour movies anymore. I don't know if anybody caught this over in Hollywood. The 3-hour movie thing's over with. We're done.
Unless it's really, really good. If it's like Lord of the Rings quality good.
I don't even think people would sit through that anymore. I really don't. Even if they reran the Return of the King again. Okay? Even if they did that, I don't think people would have patience for it anymore. It's just a different culture now. Media has become so. I don't think people could sit through the 5 endings of Return of the King. I don't think they could do it. They'd make it as far as Frodo waking up, and they're like, "Okay, movie's over. See you later." And they just that.
The thing that's sad. Well, the thing that's sad about it is the short attention span people have. That's really sad because it kind of makes you wonder: can these people even sit through like reading a book? Or reading a manga. No, they can't. But yet they could watch a TikTok about a manga and then attack fans over it, which really pisses me off. Oh my God.
That's where most of your manga fans are coming from right now, by the way.
That's where most of your tourists are coming from, is from TikTok. And I will say this right now, I have not seen these people because I've been covering manga in January. I think it's January 1st is when I first started my YouTube channel in 2015. So like it'll be my channel's 10-year anniversary. It's going to be like on January 1st. Holy shit. But I didn't start covering manga until like later in 2015. But still, since I started my channel, I have not dealt with any of these people. I have not. And maybe it's because of YouTube suppressing my content. I have no idea. But I have not dealt with I've not dealt with these people in my community.
Well, Bowsette, I'm going to assume that you became one of those people that got swallowed up by Elon's mute brigade, because I don't have a mention from you on my Cider Hype account or over on Bounding into Comics. I'm very sorry. I don't know why it's it's just randomly taking out people. Well, I wouldn't say randomly. It doesn't matter if you have a check or not. People are just getting taken out. So that's going around.
Yeah. Well, I've been shadow banned on Twitter for like, I don't know how long now. I'm like,
she's so shadow. She's so shadow banned. When you type in her screen name, it will not show that account. You have to click go to her account name right there. Right there. You have to click go to. It won't even show her avatar. Won't even show the account. You have to when you click on it, it takes it right to her profile. It is absolute. I've never seen that done. Even Nick Fuentes comes up on a search.
It's easier to find my content, YouTube and Twitter on Bing and Google than it is on YouTube and Twitter.
You want to know what Nerdigans is talking about today? Go over to Google, search X, her screen name there on X, search her screen name, plus whatever you want to know, like Bleach, and then sort by today, last 24 hours. That's the fastest way to find her stuff. It really annoyed.
Same with you. Same with any of my YouTube content. Just look up Nerdigans Inc. YouTube, or like a specific manga title, like say, because I'm like one of the, and I've told YouTube support this. I'm like one of the, and my subscribers have told me this too. I'm like one of the only people that covers One Punch Man manga or Made in Abyss manga, and it does not come up.
Right. On YouTube. Here we have it. X of the Damned, he says, I have no idea what the deal is with X and their BS shadow banning. Well, you do. You do. It's corporations. Elon wants that advertising money. The corporation needs it, right?
And I pay for Twitter. That's the thing that sucks. I pay for
Right.
Twitter.
But you don't pay $10 million a year to have a stupid ad about a Chevy plunked in people's vision, right? That's the difference. And where you go out and want to talk about protests, you want to talk about right of center politics, and you want to engage about the conversation about Gaza, the advertisers are like, get that out of our stuff.
Well,
Get that
I've
away
been
from our
talking about
stuff.
Gaza that much recently. I talk about like censorship in media a lot,
But,
and they
that's
don't
another
like
thing.
it.
Right. That's another thing. I'm sure that what we saw the FBI, CIA, and NSA doing to Twitter, we have corporations doing to X. There's lists of people that are not meant to be seen anymore if Disney is going to be on the platform. And they can't do that to Nerdrotic because Nerdrotic's got an army that'll come after them for it. They'll notice immediately. They can't do it to Geeks and Gamers because they've got an army that'll come after people for it. They can't do it to that group of the Fellowship because there's an army. However, they can go after people like you, like Spencer, like Jacob, like people that are out here that are not those gigantic accounts that don't have an army behind them, and they take those people off the board. And that's how it does, is because it erodes the conversation down. That's just that Nerdrotic guy and his friends saying that. You know that Jewish girl that was saying all the things that they were saying? You don't see her anymore. Oh, looks like she got bored of playing pretend like they play pretend. And that's what they do. That's how they get away with shaping the narrative and making us all feel like we're on an island and crazy by ourselves. Is they take out voices like hers, like mine, like Spencer's, like Jacob's. They wipe out those voices so that it only looks like these monoliths like Gary and Jeremy are over here talking about it all by themselves. And they've got their own little army in a bubble, and nobody else is saying these things. I hate it.
And it's the same thing in
Right.
the anime community as well. There's only a few of the big accounts in the anime community that get propped up, and it's very frustrating. And I'm not like bashing Chibi reviews or anything. I'm not. I'm just saying that we both cover the same things. So the stuff I cover, I put it up first sometimes, and I get nothing, and he gets all the views and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. It's not him. It's not his fault. It's the algorithm that's doing this.
Yes,
and it's just a point that I'm just proving a point that I'm just shadow banned. It just sucks.
I wanted to tell you why, because Elon revealed why. He said that if you get muted or blocked by verified accounts with larger following than you, your priority, your spread in the algorithm goes down. So basically, if the popular kids don't like you, you don't get to be seen anymore. That's what he revealed to us. So guess what? You piss off the right amount of people, Nerdigans. You're pissing off the voice actors who have hundreds of thousands of followers and are verified. So thus, X prioritizes them over you. So when you get muted by them, bam, you get another layer of shadow ban. Well, here comes the corporations that don't want you talking about the censorship they're exercising through credit cards. Bam, there's another level of shadow ban. And that's what he revealed to us, that's why you don't get any traffic in the algorithm, no matter what you pay him. It's because bigger accounts didn't want to hear from you, and he's rigged the algorithm for that to be how you get the spread. It's ridiculous. That's basically like saying, like, we have a problem with China, right? With their whole griefing session where they'll basically put somebody in a stockade and hurl tomatoes at them for hours on end because they disagreed with the party, you know? There's a whole... That 3-body problem was written by a guy or girl, somebody that watched their father be beaten to death. It actually happened during the color revolution, okay? This is how Elon wants X to function. That if people with power don't like you, they get to silence you.
It's just like Jack. Well, this might be worse than Jack Dorsey, actually.
Yeah, Jack didn't do that. Jack banned people who misgendered, who used racial stuff, like, and wanted to talk about right of center politics and had nice things to say about Trump. Also wrong, also stupid, but now it didn't empower people to create mute block gangs. Because guess what? You and I know this. Well, so does Renfamous now. So does Airbag. So does Alyssa Mercante. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to go to Hassan Piker with a block list. And Hassan Piker has hundreds of thousands of followers. And guess what he is now? He's a terminator for anybody that disagrees with his friends. Now that Elon's made it clear that there's a cheat sheet for silencing your enemies.
And someone that's actually doing this is Mario. I think it's Mario Newfall is his name. I muted him ages ago because I just was tired of this. I did not want to see him on my timeline anymore. He's a total anti-Semite. He's a notorious TOS violator. And remember when Elon came onto when he bought Twitter, he said he was going to enforce TOS equally. Well, that was a goddamn lie, because if he was going to enforce TOS equally, his ass would have been banned from the platform ages ago. And I think maybe I'm trying to think if Ian Miles Chong would have been banned as well, because he is stealing people's content. For one thing, he's been stealing people's content and passing it off as his own. He's a piece of shit, I swear.
As Heavy Hitter says right here, it says life always finds a way to expose the corrupt. And yeah, that's what goes around comes around, you know? Like this whole thing with Elon really upsets me, because like this whole Vox Populi thing, this push for free speech being protected, even Jack Dorsey coming out and abandoning Blue Sky. He just created it about 2 years ago, walked away from the whole thing saying Elon has freedom technology. And now Elon comes out and says, hey man, if you're not down with the H-1 visa, you get booted off my platform. You don't get to be the media anymore if you're not down with people replacing you.
As soon as he said this shit about you are the media, I'm like, mofo, I am the suppressed media. I've been the suppressed, censored media for months. You are full of crap. I would be the media. I'd love to be the media. I was the media. I'm supposed to be, I've been told I'm the head of a movement. I don't feel like the head of a movement.
Well, that's just, that's what's right here is what I wanted to bring up. That's speaking of that. It's Jeremy and Gary started organically talking about these exact things. I've watched them grow. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. That's the thing, is that the reason why they're not protected in the sense of like, Elon is buddies with them and he's letting them do whatever they want. What he doesn't want is a mob forming around them getting shadow banned.
Yeah.
That's what he didn't. That's why he doesn't go after them. That's why he goes after smaller accounts, so that they look like they're alone talking about this stuff, or they're in their own bubble. So Alyssa and those other freaks can walk along and say, look at these chuds over here in their internet Fourth Reich, you know, and that's what they do. Whereas you have these guys that, by the way, Gary got banned on Twitter a couple of times. Jeremy lost umpteen accounts. He's mentioned at least one that he recovered under Elon. And there's umpteen members, like Chrissy Mayer was getting lifted off of Twitter all the time for the things she was saying. Melanie Mack, our favorite contributor to all this mess, was getting lifted off of Twitter all the time. So, yeah, again, they fought hard to grow as far as they have.
And like this year, I mean, the number of followers I've gotten quintupled. And that's because I got so frustrated with all the fuckery that was happening, because no one was doing anything about like the gamer stuff. And then you had grums like just saying, oh, leave it to the YouTubers. I'm like, fuck that. I fought so hard against censorship, and I'm not going to just say, and I'm not going to just be like, leave it to the YouTubers. Fuck that. I will do something if you're not going to. And I even said that to him. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I did it. And that's how my following started. That's how my subscribers grew as much as it did in this year. So it's like, this is just so wild to me. And makes me think I should have just done it sooner.
Well, speaking of X finally getting over itself, I did finally get tagged by Bowsette's account. So
yay.
I'm not going to give him too much flack, but it finally came through. Now, these were Mortal Kombat 1 redesigns. Much needed, if you ask me.
Oh, God, yeah.
Despite the fingers being a little goofy with these designs, I absolutely approve.
But they would be called porn by some people.
Yep. These would be very dangerous. These would be very dangerous things. So, yeah. The Cyrax sector and smoke, DEA, yeah. I don't know if I could say that word on YouTube, so. But yeah, you can see again, like the AI understands, because of the data pools it's fed, it doesn't have the DEI filter unless you start asking for things that are a bit suggestive. Now, I know you didn't do that. You were simply generating these characters and you weren't typing in busty, big butt, that kind of thing. So that's not part of the equation. But on its face, if you're just asking it to generate Mortal Kombat characters, the AI's data pool that relates to those keywords that are related to that kind of character description pulls up these designs. Almost one to one. If you can get the AI to generate something with Mortal Kombat, because some of them have word filters to avoid copyright claim, it's not going to help, but at least it's on a legal basis. They tried to prevent people cloning art, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why you run into those filters. It's not really anything honorable, believe me. So the situation is that when you do evoke what character designs are for Mortal Kombat, so what you would do is you would say, fantasy-based martial arts character, female, fighter body type, dynamic pose, aesthetic background, jungle aesthetic background, that kind of thing. And it would one to one most of the time generate what you're looking at here. Now, I don't think that's what you used, Bowsette, for your prompts. It's not a problem. But I'm just trying to give people kind of like a real basic idea of how you can get designs like these almost every time when you try. And it's pretty impressive, you know. Like we have this lead post right here, you know. DeviantArt represent Katana better than the creators. Yep, you've got these people here that are doing the cosplay.
And people would still call it porn, or
Of
these
course.
psychos would call it porn. I got called a leftist by Gothics TV because I asked a simple question about if she was pro censorship, because I saw her talk about like a porn ban. It's like, yeah, and I got further confirmation. It's like, yeah, you said you were for a porn ban. You are pro censorship.
Well, yeah, they are pretty designs because the AI isn't limited by like, oh, we don't want to make these characters too sexy, so we don't want to put like silver reflective objects near their accentuated body parts, you know?
Yeah,
Whereas
it's not
AI's
sexist.
Exactly. Well, yeah, okay, it's sexist in the way that it's gone so far woke, it's circled back to being being Nazis. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay. I'm just waiting for people to start saying we need to cover women in burqas, you know?
I've been waiting for that. I can't, and I said it on Twitter. I've been saying it here too. It's like I can't wait for the War on Sex Appeal arc from Fire Force to get adapted. When that gets adapted, watch, it's gonna break
heads will explode.
Twitter. It will break Twitter because for those of you that don't know, Okubo at the time, Okubo was getting so much crap over Tamaki because Tamaki's, her thing is she loses her clothes because of her lewdness. And he was so tired of it that he did the War on Sex Appeal arc. And he had assault because there's clones basically for the White Hoods. And Assault's clone, the fake Assault, is like a total prude. He doesn't believe in sex appeal. There should be no sex, blah, blah, blah. And the real Assault comes in and says, yes, the world needs sex appeal. Because without lewdness, the next generation wouldn't exist. And there's one line that really sticks out. Like, do you want the next generation to be like closeted perverts like me? Like, the world needs lewdness. It needs lechery. Like, humanity can't exist without lewd, without sex appeal. That's just how it is. And I just will never forget when I covered the chapter when you saw the Karens, and even a fucking beta male too, attack Tamaki. And I was just like, dude, this is what we see on a regular basis on social media, and still see it, especially now.
It brings us back to this conversation. You know, look at what they did to Arcane and Jinx.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, Jinx was done a disservice by this whole series. They turned her into Harley Quinn, but with more steps. And I'm really annoyed with that. I prefer a character that's just a psycho because it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. I don't like villains that have like this was Maleficent background where like her wings being taken from her as an allegory for date rape. I don't want that. I don't want that in my stories. I don't think that's necessary. You want to tell that story? That's Lifetime Movie Network for everybody, okay? Real simple. You tell all those over there. Everybody loves those there. On regular like anime stuff, nobody wants to hear about that. Nobody wants that in their League of Legends. Nobody wants this boohoo baha shit in there. They like Jinx because she was a psycho. That's what they advertised her as. She was just Lady Joker in the League of Legends world that just did crazy stuff all the time because she could. She was constantly causing chaos because she could, and it looked cool and it was fun. And then they were like, no. Now we need to drag this character down and make it more realistic, give her a relationship, give her a purpose. It's like, no. She had a purpose, whatever the player wanted to apply. That's why this game was initially so successful. Everybody's like, why is Genshin Impact so successful? It's because they don't have 14 hours of character biographies. You understand who these characters are, and your brain can fill in the rest. You have a lot more fun. Who the hell is Mualani? Do you know who the fuck Mualani is? Nobody knows who the hell Mualani is. She's cute, and she rides around on a shark.
Yeah.
That's what they got. That's it. And they make up the rest on their own, whether she says what her backdrop is or not. Over here with League of Legends, with O.R.C.A, and they're like, no, you gotta know that they're gay. And they're so gay, it's gay. You know, and that they just gotta ram that down 24. It's so bad the Chinese paid them, rather demanded, maybe paid, to have them separate the two female characters so they don't touch each other in the footage that was aired in China.
God, like, this is why I just love Kyo from Chichika no Rokuden, because he is that evil psycho mofo. He is just we found out why he is the way he is, though. But like, he just is doing his experiments just because he can. He like literally killed the main character Aruma. He literally killed Aruma's family just because. Because it's part of his experiment to try and push Aruma to kill himself. It's really a messed up series, and I love it so much.
Well, Bowsette says here, it says, no, Genshin has a lot of where you just have to open up the menu and read it. Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Is that it's not cut-scened out for you. There's not a movie that explains all. Excuse me. I'm going to barf talking about this. The situation is that they don't ram it down your throat. Like you say right here, you just have to open up the menu. So if you don't want to, if you just want to ride around on a shark with Mualani and just make up all the reasons why she's doing her things and why everybody thinks she's cool, then sure, you can do that. They give you the chance to do that. O.R.C.A stepped in and said, no, you're not allowed to have your Jinx fantasy of her just being a psycho and doing psycho things because she finds that entertaining. Now you're going to understand that she's a victim. That's what they do. You can't just have a crazy person that's crazy because they want to be crazy. They got to be victims of something. You know, this is my problem with the Joker character in The Dark Knight, that after the movie came out, after all the information about that character was pretty much like theorized out on message boards at the time, because we didn't have, like, Facebook wasn't a big place to talk about it at the time.
Yeah.
But it was all teased out on message boards between the fans figuring it out. All of a sudden they come out, they're like, oh, by the way, he's an Afghanistan veteran that's disillusioned, decided to do all this. And I'm like, no, I reject that entirely. Not happening. Mm-mm. And that annoyed the crap out of me, because it was like, oh, he's a victim. Cool. Great. He's not just a psycho that just snapped one day because the pressure of life was too much. He went to war and he had a bad time, and now he wants revenge on the people that didn't care about him while he was at war. And it just makes you want to tear your hair out. It just makes you want to tear your hair out.
It can't be because he's like fascinated by death and chaos. Can't just be because of that.
I watch playthroughs of it. I don't play a lot of the newer stuff because it's just, for me, it's just not in it. But from what I've seen in the Genshin stuff, there's cutscenes where the characters do things. But again, what I'm stressing is that League of Legends didn't allow you to have any identity with the character. You had to accept that that character had its own identity, and it had its own pronouns, and had its own sexuality, and you weren't allowed just to inhabit that world with that character anymore. That character became something you had to respect in their whole entire corporate presented form. Whereas from what I understand with the Genshin characters, you could do whatever you want with them. I see a crap ton of fan fiction about these characters, a crap ton of fan art. There was a whole war over skin pigments over this character before anybody knew what Mualani even did in the game. So it's just what I'm pointing out is that people have an easier time with the Genshin characters than they do with the League of Legends characters now, thanks to O.R.C.A coming in and saying, this is the hard line truth of these characters that will not be argued with. And that's what I'm stressing. That's all. the video game crash caused by too many cutscenes and no gameplay. And Sakura Meat is right about this. We talk about this a lot on this show, that like Death Stranding is a primary example of this. And a lot of people give Kojima credit for what he did there and blah, blah, blah. But it is, you go up on YouTube right now, is a 9-hour cutscene movie for Death Stranding. There's 9 hours of uninterrupted cutscene movie there for you. You don't get any gameplay footage. You might get Norman walking into a cutscene, but there's no fighting the shark stuff. There's no health bars, things like none of that. There is just cutscene to cutscene to 9 hours of cutscenes in Death Stranding. And that it's just a movie you walk from scene to scene in. That's really all Death Stranding is. Again, be mad if you like about that, because Kojima put a lot of work into it. I get it. And it sucks to have it reduced that far, but it's a movie. It's a movie that you walk around inside of. And that's what this new Interstellar game is all about. That's what we had Dragon Age: The Veilguard all about. It's just a movie that you walk around in.
Well, Dragon Age: The Veilguard babies you. It's like Netflix's new model. That's what Dragon Age: The Veilguard is. It's Netflix's model of movies that they want.
Did you guys hear about this? Netflix has now announced that they're going to go forward with their screenwriters. They've directed the screenwriters that people are supposed to say what they're doing on screen now, or there will be a narrator that comes through like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy narrator to explain. So that way they're kind of tired of you just having Netflix on in the background and not paying attention. So they're going to force you to pay attention.
But yeah, that's what Dragon Age: The Veilguard is. But for me, Kojima makes you think though. Like, yeah, it's a movie game, sure, a movie kind of game. Yeah,
nothing wrong with the story.
But nothing's wrong.
That.
But yeah, but I'm just saying, like, Kojima makes you kind of think though. So it's like, yeah, you're getting a movie video game, sure, but at least it's a thought-provoking one, and it makes you want to like kind of interact with it a little bit more, and compared to like say something like Dragon Age: The Veilguard, where it's kind of like talking down to you and belittling you because it's telling you all these things where video games are supposed to make you think, make you problem solve and all that. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it is. It's got that. It's got game effects to it, right? Don't get me wrong. But the thing about Death Stranding that gets me is that you are walking around in a movie. It's not like any of the Metal Gear Solid games. It is not like any of the other projects Kojima got involved with. Death Stranding is very much an almost uninterrupted storyline from Kojima, where gameplay is simply there to sort of, I guess, stretch out the experience so you're not sitting there watching cutscenes. And I get it. A lot of people like that. There's a sequel coming. I didn't think there was much of a sequel available. He convinced the Apocalypse Engine to fuck off. So I don't know what do you do then? Like, I don't know. But Kojima apparently had a plan that involved a blonde chick. So great. Norman Reedus gets to hang out with a blonde chick and a puppet now. That's neat. Oh, and Del Toro's back, so that's great. You can watch pudgy 3D Del Toro wander around this hellscape. So there you go. But again, like it's only 2 steps away from being its own just show. You know, it's not like we watched previews. Like, I can't show it here because they'll strike us. But we watched previews that Kojima and the company he's working with for Death Stranding put out. Okay, Death Stranding 2. And it's an uninterrupted 5-minute cutscene.
A lot of these trailers are cutscenes, though. Think about it.
Well, no. It's not a trailer. It's just you as Norman Reedus return back to this base that you're operating out of with other delivery people, because apparently after saving the world, Norman still has to, or the character he's playing still has to deliver packages. I have no idea. But anyway... in the rain that makes you old, by the way. But the thing is that they showed this clip of him returning to the base, and the cutscene kicks in with all these characters coming to talk to him. And it's 5 minutes!
5 minutes.
There's no like cut of like Norman Reedus with a giant keyblade sword jumping off of a building and slicing a dragon in half or anything. It is literally just an assortment of these characters talking to each other about nothing. Norman
God.
Reedus isn't even relaying the mission he just came back from. They're effectively water cooler discussing their life inside the base, and it is just mind-boggling that people keep paying money for this.
Different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, point-and-click games have cutscene, still be fun. You have that with the Nancy Drew games that still come out.
Yeah.
Nancy Drew games have cutscenes in them now, so because everybody wanted Nancy Drew cutscenes.
Just, God. I mean, not everything can be like, say, a Final Fantasy game or a Stellar Blade or a Nier. But then again, you have psychos that believe that Nier and Stellar Blade are porn and need to be banned.
Yep. That happens. But if you're wondering why that happens, well, we kind of have an answer now. You remember the discussion about H-1B over on Twitter boiling over to the point where Elon told people to, fuck themselves in the face. Because that's helpful. That's a helpful discussion. So anyway, what I wanted to point out is that we're not bringing in people to do these jobs that Americans won't do. We're bringing people in to do these jobs that'll work for money that Americans won't work for. You try living in Los Angeles in 2024 on $110,000 a year. Good luck. You'll be eating cat food, okay? And that seems like a lot of money. When you calculate in, though, most apartments in Los Angeles are north of $2,100 a month, and you're not even like in any kind of luxury there. That's barely a studio plus a bedroom, barely. Again, like the senior programmer at Naughty Dog. These are H1, right? So these are people that are trying to pull from out of the country, right? Because nobody in the United States can be a senior programmer. Apparently, there's not a single senior programmer.
Well, they don't want to pay them.
Right. They don't want to pay them $135,000 a year. Or rather, the American worker will not live in Santa Monica, California. You go ahead and try to live in Santa Monica on $135,000. You'll be living out of like one of those U-Haul trucks. It's like a stealth camper.
Well, you'd have to live like in the suburbs of Santa Monica or something, or you'd have to really live in the boonies or to be able to survive on $135,000.
Well, and again, that's what they're doing here is that they're going out and they're finding people who are from another country where this money seems like a lot. Now, again, I have to stress this. It's kind of mean, right? It's kind of mean. But I have to stress this, that when we get into talking about this, they're bringing these people in because they come from countries where the money that they earn here at the U.S. will be sent back there. So those dollars earned will have a bigger effect in, well, India than they will here in the U.S. So these guys go into a dormitory together. You have 5 fellas living in the same house together, and they send most of their money back to their home countries, be it India, Thailand, Venezuela, Mexico.
They're not bringing people from. They're not bringing people from south of the border over for jobs. I would say it's probably China, Vietnam, India, maybe. I was gonna say maybe Laos too, but nah, I don't think it's gonna be Laos. But yeah, at least those 3 countries I could think of.
So again, this is the H1B salary database. This is not what Sony has available for you and me when we go to Indeed.com to search for these jobs. These are jobs that are strictly available to people outside of this country that are not citizens. Now, Sony has 144 records just this year. That's it. Just this year. And the median salary is $145,664. Think about that, okay? These jobs are mostly in California, but again, you got an accounting manager. Nobody in the U.S. can do math, apparently. An advertising operations manager. Nobody in the U.S. knows how to sell things, apparently. An analyst. No one in the U.S. can analyze anything. An associate senior staff engineer. Nobody can engineer staff like the foreigners, apparently.
It's crazy because, well, some of the engineers I would say that are coming from like China and stuff like that, they are getting their degrees at like say like UC Berkeley or some to be fair, like at Stanford and stuff like that.
Yep.
And they do require H-1B visas. So to play devil's advocate, they could be using those employees or hiring those people. But and they're like for their student visa ran out, and that's why they're using that, for an H-1B. But other than that, like I can't see anything else in regards to Sony.
Well, Leslie says here another thing about H-1B folks is they can't
That's
join
true
unions.
too.
Plus that's a plus in the eyes of many companies, and
That is very, very true.
And you'd see right here, Sony is doing everything they can to maximize the availability of that labor that you're talking about, that union-proof labor. These people who will donate.
Oh, look at that! Even Seattle.
Yeah,
Seattle's a lot more liberal than
Arizona,
than California too.
Yep. But as you can see, none of these jobs are over $300,000. None of them. The most they get up to is about $260,000 that I've seen so far.
Yeah, seeing the cost, the salary of those jobs, yeah, those are definitely college graduate jobs.
Of course.
That's
You're
why I'm
not
like,
get a senior level designer that taught himself how to do it on YouTube.
That's why I said they probably went to college, like in the case of California, the Bay Area, they probably went to like UC Berkeley or San Francisco State even, and they got their degree in like engineering, and then got their student visa ran out, and then they got an H-1B once they graduated.
Yep.
That's what and in the case of Southern California, they probably went to like UCLA, USC, UC Irvine, that kind of thing. They probably went there, same thing, and it's probably
comparison.
Yeah, let's take a look at Disney.
I'm just going to show you guys Disney. Now, we saw that Sony had over 144 for 2020-24, okay? That was just 1 year, right? These aren't positions that are open from last year still, okay? This is just 2024 by itself. So here's Disney on a single year on what they're looking for. You'd be surprised they're exploiting this less than Sony. Only 18 records are found where they're putting this stuff out in there. Now, they need a decision scientist. They need a couple of them. I don't know what a decision scientist is, but I really think that that's somebody that probably shouldn't be paid that much to begin with.
No.
That should be a double up job. I'm pretty sure a decision scientist should be somebody who has to.
But yeah, I think for like the lead software engineer, I think it's the same kind of situation as Sony. That they got a degree, probably depending, they may have even went and got a master's degree, depending on the kind of software engineer they're getting.
You might be looking at somebody that graduated from California or the colleges in India and Taiwan and China.
It could have been. It could be that. But like a lot of the, from what I know, a lot of the Asian students do come. A lot of the Asian immigrants come to the colleges in California to get like either get like engineering degrees or medical degrees. So that's why I'm like
158. Look at this from Netflix. Holy, that's more than Sony, okay? Look at this. And they're all in California, so that should show you just what kind of abuse is going on in California right now. So far, that is...
Oh, yeah, and they support the unions, though. Yeah, it's always like that.
That's almost 400 jobs that we've seen right here that are only available to folks from outside this country, not folks that you can search it up on Indeed.com. Yeah, DEI scientists, yeah.
It's always like this. It's always like this, where they say, "Oh, we're pro-union." Yeah, sure, but nah, we're not. Well, we have that's for the other corporations, not for us.
Well, they're paying a little bit better than Sony and Disney, so that's neat.
But yeah. But as I said, these are probably they're not like low income people. These are college graduates that are getting these jobs. Oh, for sure. But the thing that really sucks about all this is that there are college graduates, that are American-born college graduates that could be using. There's tons of software engineers.
Look at this. There's nobody in the U.S. that can engineer software. There's a software engineer. Was
There's tons of software engineers in the US that could use these jobs. And something that my like significant other told me, this was years ago. This was, I think, almost a decade ago this happened. And he was in IT. And he was mixed. He's white Native American mixed. And he applied as a white person. And they said that if he would have applied as a Native American, he would have gotten the job.
3,873 in 2024 alone?
Doesn't surprise me.
Holy hell.
I'm not surprised.
Look at this. There's 3. I can't even. It won't even load. There's so many.
Amazon, this doesn't surprise me. This is Amazon we're talking about.
My goodness. Did you ever? Yeah, okay. Well, you think we found another leak in the ship, fellas? Holy cow. Well, I can't imagine what kind of a viper's nest Google is now. 6,000.
If they're like in the Mountain View, Palo Alto area, you got to remember Google does have a campus there.
Yeah, right there. It's right there.
Yeah.
So you're going to be living in Google housing, making $105,000. So
yeah, more than likely. It's the same thing with Facebook. Facebook does have a campus in Mountain View as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're right, Leslie. This should piss off every U.S. That's 6,362 jobs that American graduates are not going to get. They aren't even aware that these jobs are available.
This should piss off for the pro-union people, especially. Because in California, you got to understand, unions, it's mainly the public unions, the government unions that are holding the state hostage, if anything. Because private unions aren't really that existent in California. It's all public unions that are holding the state holding my state hostage.
You know, Kenneth points out something really important here, right? He points this out and he says the cord is getting screwed with again.
Oh, it is? Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, I fixed it.
Yeah, it explains a lot. Well, that's just it, is that we wondered, like, why are these woke DEI games just keep coming out? Where are they finding the people that want to do these crazy things? Well, when you're holding people hostage based on their immigration status, you could probably get them to do a whole lot of things they ordinarily wouldn't do. So that's why this woke stuff keeps coming out, because these studios get to hire people and then say, ooh, you want to stay in America? I guess you're going to code that bald Asian chick in the spaceship now, aren't you? And it's
they probably,
ridiculous.
well, they probably made a deal with them too, because my friend immigrated from South Africa, this was a long time ago. What he did was he made a deal with the government that there's a deal with the government that if you serve the military a certain amount of years, then you get your citizenship. I think I could be wrong on this. Let me know in the comments, but I think there's a way that corporations can do something similar with H-1B, that if they work for a certain amount of years, then they could there's like a pathway to citizenship through that. But I'm not sure.
Well, so this person points it out right here. This person says right here, there's no effing way that a senior software engineer in California is making less than me. Remote work junior DevOps engineer, a glorified system admin in Florida. How are these H-1B? So this is what it is. As this person explains, just on the other side of the continent, almost diagonally from west to east, this person is being paid more than what these jobs are being offered at on the H-1B listing. Now, what that means is exactly what we've been talking about, is that Americans will not work for those wages, especially considering it's California. So the other thing is...
Well, I will say this in terms of California. I mean, it really does depend on the job as well. If it is a senior software engineer job, I wouldn't imagine like the majority of people, senior admins coming out of college wouldn't work for that much money though. That's the thing. Would be very surprised about it. My guess is it's got to have something to do with the unions, that they just don't want to deal with the unions. I don't know how the Netflix union system works. I don't know how like Disney's union or anything else works for sure, but that's the only thing I could think of, because otherwise they can't afford
to have these people come in and be part of the union.
Yeah,
Because if these people come in
why I
part of the
said
union, they're going to start voting against the corporation's interests. And if they keep them trapped on their immigration status, then they're not
well
going
there's
to vote.
also like, as I said, like with private corporations, Netflix I know has, obviously has a union, but like, and I don't know if Disney's admins are unionized or not, but the majority of private corporations in California are not unionized. It's almost
Who could have seen that coming?
the majority of the majority of unions in California are public ran, and the one that is really screwed our state up the most is the teachers union.
What a surprise.
Yeah, and Caltrans is just, oh, God, they're the reason why it took like what 20 years for the Bay Bridge to get fixed. Whereas in when Schwarzenegger was governor and there was a bridge in Southern California that like completely collapsed, he used a private company to fix it and took like less than a year to fix it.
Yeah, well,
that shows you the
what a
difference
surprise.
between it shows you the difference between union and private labor.
Well, and again, I mean, like we're lucky that we are, you know, kind of insulated from that kind of stuff where these decisions are sort of made in the halls of government as opposed by people who are voting on referendums. It could be a lot worse if they started putting these up to referendums, because then you're definitely going to get a lot of crony stuff. Well, yeah, I want to vote for that governor's brother to have permission to put a solar farm in the middle of the forest in Maine. That's what happened to us. Our governor's brother, her brother, is going to rake in close to $1 billion on a project that she forced through our Senate and House of Representatives.
Oh, if that would have happened here in California, there would have been a recall.
Yeah, well, again, like this, we're trying, but it's one of those things. So that's,
I mean,
this is what we're dealing with.
Well, look at my, we recalled, well, my state recalled a couple of people. Like in Oakland, they recalled the mayor and it's Alameda County that did it. Recalled the DA. San Francisco, they just got rid of their mayor, and a few years ago they recalled their asshole DA. I mean, Californians have really been stepping up. We really have. People keep saying like all this crap. It's like no. We really have been putting in the work. That's why when people tell me you should leave, I'm like, why? I ain't no coward. Well, one, I can't afford to, but two, it's like, why would I be a coward and leave? We're actually doing something here. You guys could leave. But yeah, recalls do need to happen more often everywhere. But and I think it's either Oregon. I know Oregon. I think Oregon has the power to recall, but their recalls have failed because Oregon's a fucking hot mess. Washington, I don't remember
they
if they
pump their own gas.
I don't remember if Washington State has the power to recall, but they really need it bad. You guys think California?
Well, there's these things that make loud bang noises that are going to make sure there's a recall if it's not on the books. Let's just say that.
Well, here's the difference. California, LA, and San Francisco usually have the majority of the power. Well, in Seattle, in Washington State and Oregon, it's a lot worse because in Washington State, it's Olympia and Seattle, and in Oregon, it's Portland, and I want to say I think it's Eugene, if I remember correctly. But like, yeah, it's way worse in the Northwest than it is here in California.
So
it's really bad. But anyways,
I brought this up when we started the program and I got distracted. So I didn't want to talk about this. Over in Japan, they have, I don't know if this is brand new, but it's new to me. The gacha machines now have tiny TVs in them that are built to be in your figurine accessory room. So they're sized to fit. Right. And it's not an actual television. You're not actually watching a video. It's just a backlit picture with a blue light to make it look like a CRT TV. Now, I appreciate this, not just because it's neat and tiny and you can place it places, maybe a little paperweight, a little accessory, whatever. But they're all Toku themed. They're all Toku heroes that are on the screens. And so it's a tribute to like 80s, 70s, 80s television on these things. And so I just really appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into this cheap stuff because yeah, you could just make some dumb little ring like we have here in the US with the gumball machines, or you could put something together that's clever like this and still make it worth something that's like $5. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, Japan does put a lot of effort into their gachas.
Well, this is the thing: is the gacha machines are banned in the U.S. and I'm still beside myself. It's like the Kinder Egg thing. I'm just beside myself over the whole ban of them because they say it's a choking issue. But then if you go and you look at the gumball machines that are just at your local grocery store, wherever you go to buy, they have the little rings in there, and those rings can just easily choke you as much as that television can.
So stupid.
It is. It's absolutely bizarre. And hopefully we'll defeat that coming up here into their 2025 victories. We'll be able to get these kind of things here because I don't want to like reinforce consumer buying habits on cheap things, but I think Americans need to have hobbies again. Okay?
Yeah. And I think they
arguing
are
with
coming
people,
back though.
Arguing with people on the internet can't be our only hobby. And so these teeny tiny little things are neat little collector's items for people who have studio apartments that don't have the ability to put up a huge collector's cabinet full of gunpla, for instance. Maybe they only have room for a desk covered in neat little things that light up when you press a button on them.
Well, yeah, and there's like actually I just remember this too. I think there are stores. I know there's one in I think there's one in Sacramento, maybe even Roseville. But there's like these Japanese stores that do have like gacha machines in there. They do exist in the US. They do. You have to go to like Japantown to find them. But yeah, they do exist. I just remember that. But yeah, you have to I know San Francisco has them. I think Los Angeles has them. Like for example, like the Animate stores. They definitely have them, but there's also like little Japanese stores you could go to that have gacha machines as well, and I think they're around the country too because I've seen them in some of the toy hunting videos I watch, like in the East Coast. They definitely have them, so they're there. You just have to find them.
Well, and if you're out and about with your gacha devices, your little tiny things, you might want to adorn your gingerbread waffle house.
Yeah, I saw this on Twitter and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
someone made it with gingerbread. Like, it doesn't look like it's gingerbread.
This should be the Tekken map, like the Christmas themed Tekken map that you're fighting.
Oh,
us,
yeah.
and it breaks into little candy pieces, like little
Someone in the
gingerbread
comments,
pieces.
if you look at the comment section, someone like pointed out like there's like angry gingerbread people that are missing.
Oh yeah, there's no gingerbread like crime scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's pretty clever too. They put this one together. It's a little Lego house, but it's fully functional on the inside. It's got everything.
It's amazing. It's amazing what people do with tinies.
Yeah, and that's why the little gotcha prizes need to come over here because again, I really think that if more people could get into model building or model dressing culture, I think they would have a lot more peace in their hearts. It's just it's like the bonsai trees. There's just something about having to focus on something and use very delicate movements and a lot of forethought into what you're doing. It just kind of takes away all this kind of like pent up rage, you know. And sometimes people can get mad. Absolutely, I've been working on a Banshee Gundam Gunpla for years now because I simply don't have the patience to put all the little teeny tiny see through parts together, and I rage quit all the time with that thing. So I have a metal. Oh, I forgot his Barbados. I have the metal series Barbados. I haven't even attempted yet. Okay. I just stare at that package like it's like I can hear the doom music behind it that's coming to get me.
I've seen a lot of toy photography channels popping up on YouTube. Like there's actually a channel. It's dolls, I know, but there's a channel called My Froggy Stuff, and she's been doing this for over 10 years now, and she makes different things for her 1/6 scale world, and it's just incredible some of the things she does with just like a glue gun. Like she can make water for like a backdrop with a glue gun. It's just sick with some of the things she does on her channel.
Well, and if you've paid attention to any of the Gunpla Builders World Champion stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible what they do too.
Absolutely. And like every year there's a new trend that comes through as like a new technique is born. And so it's very fascinating what they're able to do with those now. But if model building isn't your thing, maybe you would be in for modding Dragon Age the Veilguard. However, Nexus Mods wants to make sure that you don't do that.
You can't whitewash.
Yeah, in particular, you can't make elves the color they're supposed to be. Okay? So, and the reason why I'm saying that, okay, you can be mad at me however you like about this, but elves belong to Europe. All right? That's kind of the thing, you know. So, not anywhere else. That's the other thing. You don't hear talk of elves anywhere else. Tiny people, certainly, goblins, gremlins, all sorts of like little tiny creatures that do menacing things, but elves are pretty unique to Europe. And again, like that extends up into Russia because of Europe's influence on Russia. They were all related, by the way. It really annoys me. Like every European nation, we're all like related to each other. Very, very annoying. But the this right here restored the European heritage of the elves without the intention of saying that black people are invalid in this space. The creator didn't do this in order to piss off black people. What he did was to restore the mythological purpose and you know, I would guess origins of elves as they're physically represented. And people got mad at him for it.
Oh
So
yeah,
they took it down.
they straight up said, Tib, in the comment section as well. They said that, oh, you're racist. Like, you made them ugly. Like, you just don't want black people in your game. And what he said was, why he made it was, I'm used to seeing fair skinned elves and wanted to see more of them in the game. That's why he did it. And then one person said, is what a BS explanation. Don't play Veilguard if you want fair skinned elves. And pointed out a different character, you know, another dark skinned elf character. And then he said, it's a game though, and I modded it for my own experience and thought I'd share it with others that wanted the same thing. And then of course he had to include the freaking 16-year-old blackwashed Dandadan art, but goddamn, it actually kind of showed, you know, the double standard of, you know, the blackwashing, whitewashing situation. But yeah, and that pissed them off even more.
What a surprise.
And they said, someone else said, if you modded it for yourself, you didn't need to share it. It's a fuck ass mod and should have been kept to yourself. Comparing it to someone's art that they got attacked for isn't even remotely the same. Just be racist with your chest, my guy. And he said, art I'm getting attacked right now seems pretty comparable. It's true. And also, like, he's not even selling it like the 16-year-old was, but difference is that your entire premise and reasoning is rooted specifically in racism. It's not rooted in racism, though. And the one you mentioned is a kid being attacked for fan art. You're a clown. And it seems like I'm being, and then he said, it seems like I'm being attacked for a fan mod. Hopefully people stop attacking that artist, and same for myself, since we're in a similar situation. Getting attacked for creating fan works that changed the design. And then he said, this racist said that the context of why is important, and you being obtuse about it confirms you know you're an asshole. And it's like, dude, he just changed it because he's used to seeing, you know, elves being white. Like, it's not like,
Not allowed.
It's not allowed. Yeah, it's not malicious like some of the blackwashing we've seen.
Well, and again, they don't care about that part. We watched that happen. They were happy to call the Japanese all sorts of things, talk about nuking them, murdering them, destroying their home lives, hunting them down for their opinions, calling them all sorts of mental illnesses, accusing them of being all sorts of different types of haters. We saw that when the Japanese were not pleased with having a frame from Dandadan traced and then race swapped.
Yeah, and then finding out that they were selling race swapped art for like $15 by the 16-year-old. They were not happy about that.
I have never looked at Piccolo and wanted him to be white. I've never looked at that. I also don't look at Piccolo and think he's black either. Piccolo is a Namekian, and until recently, those were aliens. Now they're demons. But I never looked at Piccolo and thought, that's a black guy. Black guys have alien antennas coming out of their heads and pointy ears, and they're green, you know? And of course, you got to remember, Namekians are asexual. They puke up eggs. They don't have dicks. Why do you want to be Piccolo? What's the problem? Why do you want to be Piccolo?
Then you have these people coordinating a harassment campaign, a targeted harassment campaign against this guy to get his mods down. They won and got Nexus to take his mod down, but
Well, and
they
that's
haven't.
just it. Is
Yeah.
that everyone wants to assume there's a nefarious reason for all of this? Like, why would you want to remove all the pride flags from the Spider-Man game? You know, other than these aren't what belong in this reality. This is the thing. And people want to say, oh, it's fiction. We can make it whatever we want. Cool. So you go ahead and you set in on the African pantheon then. I'll wait. That's right. Assassin's Creed decided to put a legendary black samurai as a historical figure and also a playable character in their game, and then insist upon that legendary status in real life, by the way, before they went and created an Assassin's Creed set in the Songhai Empire that had 7 civil wars. Okay? Songhai Empire, by the way, occupies what is now Nigeria and Chad. Okay? Just so you know. So, yeah, can't talk about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to do that one. We got to stick a black guy in the middle of Japanese politics in the Sengoku era, probably the most prestigious era of their time, that they really, really pull a lot of inspiration from. We're just stick a black guy in the middle of it.
Just because.
Yeah, and then they have the nerve to come out and tell us that we brought in historians way too late on that. So it's like,
and then
cool.
And a lot of the people that are working on it's their like first game.
That's true. There's half the team on Assassin's Creed Shadows' first game. And then they go after this guy. They go after this guy because he's like, elves are supposed to be like Legolas. You know, and that, what's the problem? What is the problem with that? Create a new race. It's very simple. No, you want to lay claim to orcs. And now we have to treat orcs like they have all these decision-making processes. Whereas before, they were just evil creatures that just did weird, crazy, evil things. And occasionally you got a nice one. And that one was really cool because he was nice. But now they're all sorts of different demographics piled into one. Do you notice that first orcs were black people, and then all of a sudden they were Mexicans, and then all of a sudden they were Filipino, and it just kept spreading out to anybody who wasn't white was now an orc.
And now it's the same thing with the aliens in Drama Queen. They said that they were minorities, and it's like, dude, they're just aliens. Asshole aliens to boot. It's like, dude, you're dumb.
They won't apply that logic to the Power Rangers Prime comic where the Eltarans are an oppressive colonizer group. So they won't, again, this is the thing, is that when they want to be sympathetic to the story because the characters they identify with are being aggrieved, that's when they'll make a big deal about it, like in Drama Queen. They want to be over there. They want to be over there with those Japanese girls living Japanese life on their own terms. And I have a feeling that that's not the original intention of the manga creator. Like I said, you know, the manga creator likely didn't sit there and try to figure out how to play up American politics in their story.
No.
But an interpretation of this is very simply put that these are smelly gaijin that are just occupying Japan because Japan allows them to do it. Not that the creator is suggesting that you eat gaijin, mind you. You shouldn't eat foreigners.
No.
But, you know, they're describing that these people are empty. They bring a wrong kind of mentality to a land that has much more passion and purpose to it, to the citizens there, by the way. And this is underpinned by everyone else's reaction to the aliens around, that they just sort of tolerate them being there because they're there, and no one's ever really done anything about that. And so that, again, guess what? Here's Rahm Emanuel coming in, and he's telling them, you guys need to pass this gay marriage bill or the U.S. isn't going to help you out the next time you have an earthquake. And so the party in opposition to that bill ends up voting unanimously in present, right? They don't vote yes or no on it. They vote present, so they're not recorded being in favor or against it, so they don't tick off anybody. And the party in favor unanimously votes for it. Now, again, you're looking at these aliens, right? Think about that. And that's what Drama Queen is. Now, inversely, the Eltarans are simply, you're told that they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
Even though they're doing the same things that the aliens in Drama Queen are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. And that's how these people operate. They would not have a problem if you took the Lord of the Rings game for PlayStation 3. If you took that game and you remapped it so that all the characters had African features. They would be celebrating that. There would be articles written everywhere that this is a leap forward in Tolkien mythology and all this stuff.
Yep.
And that's what it is that it's always a one-way street. I mean, it's not a surprise, and we're just going to see it more and more, and they're going to get more vicious about it as they go.
It's just this double standard. It's a racist double standard. And it's the same thing with female characters. It's a sexist double standard.
Yep. And Leslie Tarkin says here, the most important thing POC communities have to worry about is whether or not fictional characters have dark skin like them. So that's, it's one of those things. It is. It's stupid. You know what I created a separate character for Jacob. I didn't try to make him look like any other character that existed in an anime previously. When I designed all this stuff, I don't apply that Jacob's black. I just put that in a design feature because that's his physical feature. I don't go like, the culture of black people has to be on display with his character. I'm like, no, he'd look good in a V-neck t-shirt carrying a giant sword. That's the only thought process I had behind that. And like Bowsette points out here, what else would actual elf stories be based on? Elves are, like Tolkien, are based on those original stories, literally from the European Union, UK, Germany.
Yeah, because elves are Celtic. That's where they come from. That's why when I saw this about like the black elves, I'm like, what are you talking about? There's dark elves, yeah, they exist.
Well, sure. But they're not meant to be African based.
No, they're not. They're just supposed to be like dark. They're supposed to have like dark skin. Yeah.
And because they have an evil history that caused them to become like that. And that again, it was part of their heritage that they're evil. Now we can't talk about that.
Nope.
Because other people have decided, well, that character's not white, so that's me. And it's like, how do you figure? How do you arrive at that? It's like my favorite part is like most of South America has decided that a blonde guy with blue eyes is the pinnacle of power. Like, do you think about that when you go to Dragon Ball Z? Like, that's my favorite joke to tell with people is that Akira Toriyama thought the most powerful being in the universe was a blonde guy with blue eyes that was into rave music. That's it. And that's the pinnacle of power as far as this Japanese creator was concerned, is the original design for Dragon Ball went, okay? Because Frieza was supposed to be where it ended, then Cell was supposed to be where it was ended, and blah, 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 on and on.
Yeah.
So that's astonishing to me, okay? That people want to look into the eyes of these characters. Like, Goku does not look like me, okay? I can't spike my hair up, all right? I don't have huge bulging muscles. I can't fly, and I certainly don't have a tail. I don't have black hair that's spiky all over the place and weird angular eyebrows when I'm not angry, okay? So I never applied that Goku was different from me. I listened to his story. That's what a lot of these people aren't doing anymore. Like Nerdigans told us earlier, they're getting their manga information and anime information from like 50-second TikToks that are just there to like get clicks. So they're over the top with what they're talking about, or they've invented something out of nowhere in order to create controversy to drive clicks. And thus, you end up with all these weirdos that are mad at the Japanese for simply being Japanese.
Oh, and then they're mad at, like, another one is the My Hero Academia shippers. A lot of them don't read the manga, don't read the anime, or don't watch the anime, and they like come to their conclusion that because of these TikToks and because of these memes that Bakugo and Deku are gay. And it's like, no, that's never implied to be gay. No, like, stop.
I'm just curious about something. Okay, so hey, guess what? I went back and I checked those H-1B listings for Funimation, and Funimation not looking for foreigners to do voices. I got to give them credit.
Well, Funimation's technically closed. It's Crunchyroll now.
Oh, yeah.
I look under Crunchyroll.
A 9. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
So they did it. Business
of course
affairs, they did. Manage senior marketing. Okay, so they're not looking for like performance.
But they do have, it's mainly engineers, which doesn't surprise me. Yeah, Business affairs is interesting, but and that's because they're in Texas mostly, so they don't have to worry about union shit for voice actors that much. So that's why. If they were still in San Francisco, then I'd be like, okay. Funimation was always in Texas, so they would never have to worry about it really, in terms of unions. But Crunchyroll was originally in San Francisco, so it may be a little bit different.
Wow.
But yeah.
So Nintendo has only put out 6. You know, I gotta give
Localization editor, huh?
Wow. Wow. What's that one all about? What do you do with that job? Apparently you can't click on it. Okay. Well, that was cool. Can you do that? Nope.
You can't find it out with no, you can't. Damn, that sucks. But yeah.
It won't let you show.
But localization editor, like if it's like someone from like Japan, that's one thing. But if it's like a Portuguese one, maybe, because I've seen like Portuguese listings and stuff like that too on Nintendo of America's website. So that's why I'm like, if it's like someone to do like a Portuguese localization or something like that, or a Spanish localization, then I can maybe see like an H-1B visa being used there.
I don't understand why. We have plenty of people who are of Portuguese first generation here or have studied it their whole lives. That's the thing is that we have almost 400 million people in this country. We don't have anybody here that can translate Portuguese?
Well, some of them are here illegally. So
that's true. So
that's why
another thing.
That's why I'm like, yeah, you could have an H-1B for that. Or for a dreamer. There we go.
Well, either way, they're only paying them $80,000 a year. So
and that sucks considering how high the prices are in Washington State. Yeah, that's not very good. So seriously, TikTok needs to go. TikTok is well, the problem is that if TikTok does go, then the brain rot comes over to Twitter, and I really do not want to deal with another influx of Tumblr refugees.
Well, it gets even worse than that because they're not so much as a problem as the K-pop fans.
Oh God,
I am very tired of fan cams. I'm really tired of it.
I am too. I haven't seen as many fan cams lately.
Good for you. I see them everywhere I go, and I'm very tired.
Maybe it's because I don't know. I don't think I've blocked that many. I know I've blocked
enough that the algorithm understood you were tired of it. Apparently, I haven't blocked enough. I have to block more. But no, so I was watching a China show yesterday. Actually, it was Friday, and they were disclosing that there are people who are in discussions that are between Tencent and the USA. We're saying that the USA under Trump is planning to push for the sale of TikTok in the US. That it will not be allowed to function as an exterior, non-American owned entertainment enterprise operating in the US. And apparently that might be how they do it from now on, is that unless that's going to be the ruling, it's not going to be focused on TikTok, it'll be everybody. So if you're not a US citizen, you're not allowed to have, if your company doesn't have a US headquarters, like it's not only in the US, but it has a US headquarters. If it isn't a U.S. headquarters, it can't operate. Now, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I don't want corporations in other countries running anything in the U.S. I think that's insane. You know, if we have a Toyota plant, that's different. Toyota plants are run by the local people. Yes, they take information and direction from the Toyota company of Japan, certainly.
But they still have a plant, though, on U.S. soil.
Right, and that's what we want. We don't want TikTok to be owned and headquartered and completely closed off in Tencent's headquarters in Beijing. We need to have them here, so if there is a problem, you can haul them in, hold somebody accountable for this. So that's where it makes sense. I'm not for more government control. Please understand. No. I don't like the power that it has already, but media is not something that we need to play around with, especially foreign media. And
especially when TikTok does compromise national security in some ways. I don't use TikTok. It's proven to be
predatory.
Yeah, it is predatory. I don't use TikTok. I refuse to give my data to the CCP. That's why I don't play stuff like Genshin Impact, because I do not want to give my data to the CCP. So.
Well, and that's just what it is that they're either going to have to sell it or close it down. If they don't want to sell it, they have to pull out of all American app stores. And the phones that are in the US will have to go through an update where they're not allowed to have TikTok on them anymore. And a lot of people will go back and they'll say like, "Oh, this is like banning these different products and stuff, like the Kinder Egg, like I was talking about earlier, like the K truck and things like that." But in reality, when we're dealing with media, Tencent and the CCP have explicitly set out to create TikTok as an environment that discourages healthy behavior.
Yeah. It's
And that
there's a difference between this and like say a porn ban, where porn is not infringing on other people's rights. TikTok is infringing on other people's rights. It's infringing on your privacy, and it's giving it to a foreign entity.
Well,
That is where the problem is.
let me just kind of clarify this whole thing. No one's in opposition to having porn websites verify an age before anyone's allowed to be active on that website. I don't think anybody's in opposition to that whatsoever. Because again, why do you need a 13-year-old exposed to this stuff? You just have to type in your birth date. That's it. You shouldn't have to fill out your social security number, what your real name
Or
is.
give your
where you
ID.
live. Right. None of that. Just put in your birth date. That's it. If you want to lie and say you're 100 years old, that's your fault. That the company can't be legally held accountable for that anymore.
Exactly. And that's the problem with the state laws. And I gotta, you can hate Pornhub all you want, but I gotta give credit where credit is due for them. The fact that they're willing to like say, no, we're not gonna force our customers to compromise their personal information, aka their ID, and we're gonna just pull out instead and not deal with it. I know it's kind of punny. But that's where I'm like, yeah, at least they are respecting their customers' freedom. And
that's just it, is that like these you're saying like they already had to verify your age. I'm sorry, I don't know. I haven't been on high school was the last time I was really involved in all that web space. So back then you just typed in the URL and it came right up for you. Unless you had parental controls, which I didn't. So like you just whatever. So apparently you do have to age verify now. So I think that's great. I think that's healthy. I think that's positive. Again, Pornhub can do whatever they want to do. They can get up their own business with that. But I personally just think it's a nice added layer of security that if a child is on that platform, they have lied to be there, which means that A, the parent's not paying attention to them, and B, the parent's not guiding them.
Exactly.
So there again, like the website's not tangible for that. Here we are again with TikTok. TikTok needs to have a verification system that a parent is present. Because you've got people on there that are pounding nails into their hands. I've seen the videos.
Really dangerous.
There's people that are pounding hammers against their heads. There's people that are jumping over cars. You got Kai Cenat on there, clips of his streams where he's jumping over a car. It's clearly edited, but you're going to have some kid and his buddy with their mom's Subaru, and she's passed out some night after drinking too much, and they're going to run that other kid over because he thinks he can dead leap over the top of that Subaru.
Oh, this is like Jackass all over again.
Right, and that's, again, like this is...
But Jackass had a disclaimer, though.
Well, that's true. But there again, I mean, like, this is the thing, is that this is what that... Again, the iPad raising the kids is a whole entirely separate issue. This is what I'm talking about, is to use this app, period. That the parents should have to have like some kind of PIN number if they're going to access it. Because TikTok's not just an entertainment platform. It's a platform that's putting through political ideologies. Remember Biden paid those TikTok kids? They got exposed as being paid for doing all this stuff for the blues.
I think TikTok, the minimum, if it's like Twitter, the minimum age I think is 13. Right? I still think, this is my opinion, for Twitter and for TikTok, I think the age should be raised to like 16, maybe 15, 16-ish, to have an account. I know people will say, well, what about 18? Well, here's the thing. On Twitter has like important notifications about like college applications and stuff like that, and it does have really important, because there are institutions for like research and stuff like that that kids could use for like research papers, which you do kind of have to write in high school and stuff like that. I think that's where I'm like, yeah, it's kind of fair to have like a 16-year-old on Twitter for that reason. But if they are abusing and violating TOS, then that's a different story, and they need to be like removed from the platform. But I think 16 is a fair enough boundary for Twitter. TikTok,
Well,
it should be 16. And yes,
the
parental
parental
controls do exist, but
they
yeah,
do, but they're not automatic, and I think
yeah.
they should be. I really do. I'm
If
I'm
they
I'm really
if it's
sorry.
for under 16, I think they shouldn't be on there at TikTok if they're like under 16.
Well,
I
and I
don't think
agree
so.
with this statement here that in order to have an X account, you should be over 18 because
I
again,
don't think so. For Twitter, I think it should be 16 because of
well,
the
there's so
institution.
much gore and war footage. I watched. There's a video that popped up about that showed two Russian guys being burned to death in a trench by a drone, just pelting them with thermite.
But you're
And I was
but
like,
but you understand that in high school there you have high schoolers learning about war.
well, sure.
They're learning about like really nasty shit about war anyway. You can't that's why I said 16 and not like 14 or 15. 16 is when I think it's
Driver's
okay.
license.
You have it, yeah, you can get a driver's license. If you can get a driver's license, I think that's fair to be on social media.
Well, Leslie,
And
I
parents
mean,
that's true. Parents need to actually do their job and be a parent, but parents are just you can't have government do their job. You can't force companies to do their job to be a parent either. You can't.
I just want to stress this because in Maine right now, I'm part of a political group that is not aiming to be like some kind of new party or something. We're a cultural revivalist group. No, we're not cultural revitalizing with our right arm stuck out in the air. That's not that kind of cultural revitalization. We're talking about what true things are to Maine, more than apple pie and whoopie pies, that kind of stuff. It's more about our sort of just built-in traditions here, like our sled runs, our sort of summertime traditions, that sort of thing, that are just sort of forgotten now because of social media. Now, I stress this with people. I can't show it here because I truly believe it's not really good stream stuff to show, but it's called the Mouse Utopia experiment. And so the Mouse Utopia experiment was conducted in like the late 50s, early 60s, where a bunch of mice were put into a closed space and they were given everything they needed: food, all sorts of material to build nests, private places to do that, sectioned off areas for children, for their little mice babies to grow up safe, and a central feeding point, though. The food was not available in their homes. They had to go to one central feeding point. And what they found was that as the mice continued to feed at this one space, they started to socialize. So they stopped going back home. And by the 13th generation of mice, the entire colony died off. The reason being is because the obsession with socialization took over the entire mouse colony, to the point that those who couldn't socialize were relegated up to the higher living areas. They only came down at night when everyone was asleep in order to eat, because the alphas would kill them. Because they were so threatened, they had no space to hide from each other. In order to eat, they had to go and be around each other. So any type of aggression, breeding season came along when the females were in heat, that sort of thing, all that turned into a war zone because they had to eat in one space. There was no private space to eat. And thus, it destroyed everything. Now, replace food with social media where everybody's talking to each other all the time. And this is one thing I stress to people. Human beings, like just 200 years ago, we were hunting in packs and pooping in boxes, okay? Just 200 years ago, okay? Wasn't that long ago. These rectangles in our pockets betray the animal we are inside, okay? We just need to remember that part. And the thing is that you're not going to get people to break away from social media. You're not. You need to give them incentives to let it go. They will not do it cold turkey for the betterment of mankind. The incentive has to be there that it's better to be paying attention to your local area than the crazy things on the internet that you have no power over. I have to stress this with the people in that political group all the time. We are not going to fix immigration. We're not going to fix wars. We're not going to fix taxation. What we're going to do is we're going to get people interested in the people they live next door to again. We're going to get neighbors talking to each other so that we're not all trying to find people on the internet to connect with. And rather, we're looking to our next door neighbor and saying, hey, man, you're going through the same trouble I am. Let's talk about it over a beer in front of this fence here that I've got some trash. It's a King of the Hill, right? So anyway, but that's what it is. And yeah, everybody's got their opinions on it. I agree with Bowsette, but Nerdigans brings up a good point that, 16-year-olds are eventually going to have to serve in war when they're 18. So best not to bombard them with a surprise like that. So. I get it.
Yeah, you just can't coddle them like that. Nah, because if you coddle them and shelter them too much, then they're just gonna. You're gonna see what we're seeing from these teenagers on Twitter. Because these teenagers on Twitter are sheltered. And when you shelter them, and you're talking to someone that was very sheltered until like high school. I was very, very sheltered. And then because I went to an upper middle class elementary, from preschool to middle school, I was in upper middle class schools. And then when I went to high school, I went to a middle class, like working class, middle class high school. And boy, did it change. I was exposed to lack of a better term, to ghetto culture. Yes, and I know that probably does sound racist, but nah, I was exposed to seeing gang fights and stuff like every other day. It was just a huge culture shock for me. But it's something I needed to see, that the world was more than what I was used to, and that's what is going on with these kids. Because these minors that you're seeing that are getting groomed, because you see like furries that are under like 18. I've seen like 13-year-olds saying that they're furries and they have these pronouns. They're sheltered. They are not getting attention from their parents. That's a problem. That's why I'm like, something's got to be done.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes. But and that's what it is. Is that's why community organizations like churches, local VFW are so important. Yep. Bowsette says it also won't solve the immigration. Well, and that's the state, is that your average citizen group isn't going to be able to do that.
No, but knowing about it is important, sure. But you're not going to be able to do anything to stop it.
Well, again, like just as a regular citizen group, this is why I want people to focus on the culture of it, because that's how you stop the immigration, is when you start giving people a reason to fight for their neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
You start giving them the idea that we are of one people, not some separate island ships passing in the night thing, even though we live 50 yards from each other. I live far differently, because up here in Maine, if you see your neighbor's lights on, you're too close, that kind of thing. But the situation is that when we talk about this cultural revitalization, you insulate people from the concept of having hundreds of thousands of outsiders brought in, because they know everybody. They know what everybody's talent is. They know that guy over there doesn't have a job, so why are we bringing on people over here from other places to fill that job that guy over there hasn't got, And a lot of people, the homeless situation is out of control because people aren't watching out for each other. A lot of people who are suffering from homelessness aren't just people who missed a mortgage payment and ended up living in their car. They're people who have legitimately snapped. They have had massive mental pressure put on them, and they couldn't handle it. So they broke. They turned to drugs. They turned to different substance abuses, which fried their brain even further. So they ended up in the state that they're in now, pooping on the streets and doing all these crazy anime fights with shadows on subways, that kind of thing. But that's, again, I don't necessarily think that you're going to fix that entirely by making your community tighter, but you're going to have a better insulation against that when people are like, hey, Jim over there, we haven't seen him at the potluck here in a couple of weeks. Why don't we go see how Jim's doing? You find out that Jim hasn't been able to pay his bills in a while. Really, all he needs is $200 to get back on his feet again. And guess what? Community with $5 together can come up with that. And it's not putting anybody out.
Well, that's what the online communities were supposed to do, is we were supposed to come together, and if someone in the community needed something, they would be there to help them. And because I don't know, I think maybe it was because of politics or something has divided a lot of the communities, a lot of the fan communities.
Sakramita says, "Oh my, the mics, is mine popping and having
trouble?" Oh, is it mine? No, yours sounds fine. Is it mine?
Okay. There was a little bit there for a minute, but I'm just kind of used to it because of the cord getting wiggly waggle.
Yeah, my cord is fine. It should be fine.
Speaking of politics playing a role in things, we do have an announcement about the next Spider-Man movie, because we just have to keep doing that. So the new Spider-Man trilogy is officially happening because we've got that to do now. And Gwen Stacy will reportedly be the new female lead, replacing Zendaya's not Mary Jane
Thank
as
God.
Peter's new love interest.
Thank God. Because MJ's figure, by the way, she was a peg warmer. No one wanted her at all. Even at Ross, no one wanted her.
Oh, Zendaya. Yeah, well, you know. Yep. But that's what we're dealing with here is that Gwen Stacy will apparently be taking over for Zendaya. Now, my feeling on this will probably be that, yeah, well, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get Spider-Gwen. Yep. Sakura Mida, you're going to get Spider-Gwen. I'm sorry, they're going to do that because she tested well in Spider-Verse.
And she's probably going to be trans, just watch.
Or close. Male presenting at least, because Spider-Gwen in the story, she's not exactly feminine. So,
and the watch, they're gonna make her trans. They're gonna just watch. They're gonna try and make her trans. I could just see it because of the reaction to Spider-Verse being like, "Oh my God, she's trans," because of the trans colors in the movie.
Yeah, they'll try to push it. I don't doubt that at all. They're out there and they want it. But that's just kind of a demonstration that the success of Deadpool and Wolverine is forcing them to reevaluate this DEI or bust sort of attitude they've had.
Well, I mean, we saw what happened with Pixar.
Toby and Andrew are the best Spider-Mans. Yeah, I don't think Tom doesn't kind of occupy the role for me.
Nah.
He would have done much better as like a protege to Iron Man, like that kid with the Dora the Explorer watch from Iron Man 3, how Tony got his groove back.
Yeah.
So I think that would have been better for him to be the protege of Iron Man. Like Tom Holland has a better, like, I'm not as confident or robust as Mr. Stark, but I want to help the world as Iron Man 2 attitude. That's what Tom Holland Spider-Man really feels like, as opposed to Toby and Andrew, who were on their own. They didn't have anybody to kind of boost them up, give them any ideas, or even provide them with a new costume. So, Dr. Connors was the closest thing that ever helped Andrew's Spider-Man, and even then, he ended up being the adversary at the end of the movie. So
that is very true.
What I've seen of Spider-Gwen was the trans colors, Orange Mad Bad comics. I'm good with that slop. Well, and again, I just don't see how they're going to bring Gwen in and kill her. They're not going to do that, and that I think what they're going to try and do is they're going to try and merge the Spider-Verse thing together, because Miles never tests as well as Peter. And that's what they've done, is they've tried to push Miles, and what they find is Gwen's the more popular character between the two. I guarantee you, if you stop most of the kids who are in love with the Spider-Verse story, they think Miles is fun and he makes funny statements, but Gwen is the more interesting character. So, and that's what they've done. So, Dylan Mulvaney is Spider-Gwen. Well, Dylan's pretending to be a man now. if you're trying to follow this through, there's a man pretending to be a woman who's now decided to be a woman pretending to be a man.
Oh my God.
That's a Russian nesting doll of mental health issues, but yeah, that's what you're dealing with. But yeah, we're lucky to live in this time where just the whole thing is fallen off. It's sort of like this furry civil war that's going on.
Oh my God, this was so nuts. So before we went live, I saw this on my Twitter feed and I just started laughing so hard. So this one furry was saying that furry is basically queer, and that straight people and religious people and conservatives are just guests in the community, and that set everybody off.
Well,
and they got community noted too.
I don't know who wants to be known as a furry. I don't know who wants to be known as a furry. That's a pretty big step. Like I said before we went live, furry folk tend to be a bit loose up here. They're good at coding most of the time. Like most of your tech people are furries, but beyond numbers, they're a little loose up here. They need lava baths. Well, again, like The saddest thing about this is that the whole furry thing originally got started with the cartoon, like a cartoon animal appreciation convention. There were these people that liked drawing these animal characters, and they decided they wanted to get together. And then, what do you know? It turns out the organizers thought it was really cool to have these characters and just kind of design them and talk about them and show them off, maybe sell stuff related to them. And then the people showing up wanted to fuck them. So that kind of shocked everybody when they found out why that was such a popular genre. So, and then Dare came along and they were like, I dare you not to want to have sex with this lion. And apparently a lot of people took people up on that dare. Like, I can't tell you how many furries I've seen on Twitter confessing that the Dare lion converted them. And I'm like, how?
How? Did the McGruff, the crime dog, not do anything for them?
Apparently not. I don't know. I was up in Maine. We never got the lion. It was just too much. The mascot costume couldn't be shipped up this far, I guess. I don't know. But we didn't. We just got random people with puppets. We never got the lion. So thank God, apparently, because that thing was covered in like gay bomb material or something. I don't know. Yeah, furries began with animated cartoon Robin Hood. A bit of that, yes, but there were also comics about it too. But really, late 1970s, early 1980s is when this cartoon animal appreciation convention got started, and that's when furries like formally started communicating with each other on a regular, and that's where it just really started to spin up.
But yeah,
they
there's
all
like
yiff themselves, yeah.
But yeah, there's there's a lot of straight and a lot of Christian and even some Trumper furries.
Trump furries was so weird.
They're in their quote tweets being like, dude, you're retarded. Like, stop. Just stop. We're not guests of the community. We are in this community, and we probably have been in the community longer than you've been alive. Just shut up. And some people are like, are asking like how severe this case of brain damage is.
Like, they're out there. They're out there. This one is this one's real. We'll grab this one. It's Reddit. I'm not gonna disgrace this channel by showing Reddit. It's not necessary. But we do have this one, and so this is real. This is not AI cooked up, by the way. This is real. They are real. They are out there.
Yes, they are.
I don't understand how they got to that conclusion, but we learn something new every day about the world, and I'm trying to find this one. Okay. So these ones are the ones that I ran across, and I was always very concerned. So, yeah.
Oh my God, that one.
I don't understand. I'm beside myself on this one completely. He's real. It's not AI. He's real.
I'm not surprised because I think I've seen similar furries to this one, and I saw a Trump furry like not too long ago. I think it was a couple months ago. A Trumper furry that got like totally bombarded by Kamala supporters. They're like, "You're a traitor to the community. We're all supposed to be anti-Trump because Trump's gonna like fuck everything over for us." I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's like that thing where they're banning harming children is somehow genocide against the Rainbow Group. That's always been a bit confusing for me, but it's sort of like this. Like I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to do with this. Like I'm pretty sure Trump saw these people in their suits at his events, and I have to wonder what went through his mind.
That's my dog.
Yeah, right. What is my dog doing here? Who gave him a sign?
Oh God.
Yeah, use them in Operation Human Shield. Well, you know what? Considering the girth on some of these characters, yeah, they probably work better than that one tubby lady that was running around pretending to be a Secret Service agent.
Probably.
And, Leslie Tarkin says McGruff only wanted to bite crime out, not furries. They didn't like that. Oh. We don't acknowledge them. Yeah, I think that's the best plan for it. Is like, never heard of that. That's clearly AI. That's absolutely AI. There's no way that's real. And that's it's the only way to deal with it. But yeah, the Confederate wolf guy is real. That's real. Oh my, what am I looking at?
I think I don't know what's crazier, that or like the whole thing with the Pop-Tart bowl where the Pop-Tart like came back to life. Like I swear, Pop-Tart Jesus is just something.
This is so weird. This is so weird. Look at this. You got a Confederate flag up here, right? Confederate flag over here. Pink walls, by the way. Okay, trans. Sorry, those are trans boobs. You can always tell. And then rainbow wolf with tinted giant glasses and a tail. There's just I don't know what I'm supposed. Where do you go with this? It's amazing. Why do people have to be this way? This is what the Romans threw babies. This is why Romans threw babies off of cliffs. I can't tell you why they do this stuff. I honestly don't know. It follows along the lines of cross-dressing. I think is that it's just the thrill of inhabiting that visual. X of the Dam says, I'd like to point out that furry is a hobby like anime. It has deplorable and generous side. That side, unfortunately, is always in the spotlight. Yes, of course. Like I said, that animal convention just wanted to be appreciative of like Darkwing Duck and DuckTales, and I'm saying too many duck things. Goofy and the Nickelodeon, not Nickelodeon, the other characters that weren't associated with Disney. I can't think of them now. But yeah. That's what they wanted to do, and then it turned into this. What are we looking at here?
This is Pop-Tart Jesus. Pop-Tart bowl is something. I swear to God, I was dying. Oh my God! And then there's this too. And then the Pop-Tart came back to life. Like the top of it. It's like, dude, it's Pop-Tart Jesus.
Oh. And he's all like fogged up.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There's Pop-Tart Jesus.
Back from the damned.
And then there's the Pop-Tart from this year going into the toaster. This thing is so weird.
Why is there a guy with a harness on him? Are they just afraid that he'll like get blown over or something? So there you go.
Probably.
Just like the furries, there's also people who walk around in Pop-Tart outfits.
Well, this is for the Pop-Tart bowl. Oh my God, the Miami Pop mascot ate the Pop-Tart. Ah! This is so dumb.
Darkwing Duck has nothing to do with this. That's cosplay. This is, hey, let's try. No. So what like I said, what I originally started with, this originally started with in the late 70s, early 80s was a convention to, call appreciation like an anime convention to the
but with the
animals.
Yeah, just with the anthropomorphic animals. There we go.
Right. And so the convention united these people together, but what they found was that in their love for things like DuckTales and Darkwing Duck came later, obviously, but in their appreciation for that, there were people who had a sexual fetish for it. And so that's to what I'm saying about is what X of the Damned had said is that, yeah, those people are the degenerates get the attention, but there are still people who are appreciative of the cartoon animal genre. Like I make a manga, I'm making a manga about a little monkey guy. I don't want anybody to want to have sex with him. He's 12 years old. I really don't want anybody to have those feelings about him. I've done my best to design a character that didn't evoke those feelings, at least not in me. So I think
someone will do it though, because R34.
Of course, they want to have sex with Sonic. Like Sonic's the least sexualized character there is out there.
They want to have sex with Tails too.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so that I know it's going to happen, right? But the majority of people I'm trying to appeal to with that character are people who like the cartoon animal genre. That's all, and that's we are saying the same thing, but in two different ways. Yeah, exactly. It's moreover that it's twisted than what it originally was. Because again, I feel bad for people. Like think about what we're talking about here as anime fans. You got to deal with people now that either want to censor pornography out of it or turn anime into just titties all the time. And so there's two extremes here, just like you're dealing with the furries and stuff. So
Oh, and not just that, make everything gay and make everything woke.
that's true. Yeah,
You have
people
like
make
so you
everything
have
woke.
both. You have every extreme. But like these people that because I told Cider this too. If you follow me on Twitter, you know this as well. I had Gothics TV call me a leftist because I questioned if she was pro censorship because of her tweets about banning porn, and obviously she made it clear that she wants to ban porn, so that would be pro censorship. And she says that she said flat out that she doesn't consider porn free speech when it's obviously clear that porn is actually free speech. You may not like it, but it is. I thought that was so odd.
Well, and again, it's just one of those. Sorry, I saw a cat video. Made me laugh. But it's again one of those. Oh, there's the commercial. That's what I was looking for.
Like all these people all these people are just coming. All the masks that are coming off, like over the past like couple of weeks, has just been so wild. I mean, well, JDA we already knew about that shit, but that's just been actually entertaining to watch. I'm not gonna lie. But like Melanie Mack, Melanie Mack, I wasn't surprised about, to be honest. Just watching it was great. Gothics TV was a little bit more surprising for me. I didn't think she was going to call me a leftist. I thought that was just random. No. But
well, again, they're defensive because they won't name a topic. I mean, a line rather. They won't name a line. The thing is that when you talk to these people who want to cut out Luna's bathing suit from the First Descendant,
yeah.
When you talk to people about this, they refuse to name a line. You show them Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. Remember, she's wearing a dress all the way down to her knee and her ankles, all the way down to her ankles. You show them there, and you ask them, "Is this the line? Is this character covered up sufficiently?" And they won't answer you. They won't tell you if that's enough or not. Then you show them someone who's scantily clad, and they scream and holler about porn. So you know that that's too far, but they won't say that that's too far. They'll just explain that that's porn to them, right? They refuse to actually tell you where the line is because they don't want to do that, because they don't actually believe in that line. They can't figure a line because, again, we saw this with JDA, we saw this with Melanie Mack. They have both pushed for Stellar Blade. And the biggest criticism the SJWs and the leftists had about Stellar Blade was that Eve was over-sexualized. So the whole conversation was about Eve's outfits and how sexy she looked in them or not sexy in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here we are today arguing about Luna's bathing suit, which is no different than Eve's skin suit. All right? And that's the whole problem that we're facing here. Now it bleeds over into anime because the Japanese are currently invested in kind of getting their people invigorated on having children.
Yeah.
Okay? And so, like it or not, you're going to see a lot of media that gets people horny because the Japanese want their citizenry ready to have kids. And so when that media comes over here, we're not the intended audience for that, BT dubs. A lot of people make the mistake that anime is for everybody. It's not. It's for the Japanese.
Same with manga. Manga's for the Japanese. They don't give a shit about the American audience. They really don't.
They shouldn't. And we shouldn't either. When we make our media, we should not be over here like, oh, well, what is somebody in France going to feel about this? No. And that's the mistake is that like, well, I don't know if they can do that. See that we're talking about a different group, right?
We're talking about the Christians in this case.
I don't even know if I'd stress that as like the moral police is a better way to perform it.
But the leftists are moral police too. That's where it's like
spiritual justice warriors, I guess. Then that's what we're looking at. But the reason why I just don't want to do that is because like almost every Christian I know came out and said you're crazy. It was just those three that were wreaking havoc on these threads
and Dread
with
Roberts
their little goblins. Yeah, well, again, everybody I know.
The Quartering was saying it too. The Quartering was talking about banning porn as well, and I saw like several of their followers praising it, and they're talking about like moral guardrails and shit like that. I'm like, it's freaking art, man. That's got no morals. Come on, stop.
And
Stop,
again, they'll
stop,
be the
stop.
first people to come out and tell you that Eve needs to be whatever the Koreans want to make her. But you'd better not look at her, or else you're going to be possessed by gay demons or something.
That
Whatever
was so
Melanie said
fucking
about that.
stupid. Oh my god.
It's you just have to ask yourself, like, I get what they're trying to tell us. They are afraid that pornography is going to take the place of human interaction, intimate or otherwise. I get that. We saw that happen in Japan. We were very well aware that the corruptive influence of on-demand sexual gratification had a lot of trouble with that country. I understand what they're trying to do. However, you don't microwave the problem. It is a slow fix because it was a slow infection. This didn't just happen. People didn't become addicted to this way of doing things overnight. It's taken about 30 years of having this stuff just .com away from you in order to become the epidemic that it has been to where they want to respond this way. The only way back is, as I said, restoring the community. There's plenty of science about, and this is a really sad thing because I know everybody watching this has been through this, but the person that you fall in love with high school is biologically who you're supposed to be with before you enter into birth control. And as a man, before you start polluting your body with all sorts of other chemicals, when you're just a child and you're operating on pheromones, even your immune systems line up. They've done these tests over and over and over again. So when you pair up as a 16, 17-year-old, your body is telling you that is your genetic pair. That is your genetic match. You're supposed to be with it. Whether you have kids right then and there is up to you. But the science behind it tells it it's that way. And so you need to start restoring that again so that young men don't go looking for that gratification as they come into that sexual maturity, and young women don't go supplying it as they come in to that sexual maturity and get gratification out of the attention. It's a huge problem. OnlyFans just kind of highlighted it for everybody. You know, OnlyFans just brought it right out to the forefront of like how broken it is that people don't talk to each other anymore. That's really what drives a lot of this addiction. That's what those people like Melanie Mack and John De La Rose and Trent and the rest of those guys don't want to talk about. They don't want to acknowledge the root of the problem because it's not sexy. It's not clickbaity. If you go talking to people about like, oh, well, we need to get people interested in their community again. Well, guess what? You get as many viewers as we have live. But when you go screaming and hollering about banning porn, everybody and their brother wants to come in and take your head off or lift you up higher than God. So that's how it goes. It just, unfortunately, here we are, we're just having normal opinions, and that's what happens, you know?
Yeah, I can't have a sane opinion, and you can't talk about censorship anymore without the algorithm shadow banning you.
Well, this again is another thing that these idiots completely miss. It's like, well, if you're not going to enforce the line, you're expecting Visa to do it. How long until they say that, yeah, we banned porn, so why don't we just ban right of center thinking? That's just as dangerous.
Just ban religion, because religion's dangerous. We'll ban Christianity next.
Right,
Like,
because that's just as dangerous as porn in their mind, because they can justify that with their 100,000 lawyer team.
these people just don't think. And
they don't.
You know what? You know, their line of thinking, you know, what's ironic is they talk all this shit about Facebook. Guess what Facebook does? Facebook bans art that would be considered pornography. And
Facebook banned them.
Facebook banned classic art. Instagram banned classic art that featured naked women because it's pornography.
Yep.
But yet they still have thoughts on there.
Mm-hmm. Selling shampoo with their butts in the picture. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, dude, what you're asking for is basically what Facebook and Instagram are doing.
Quartering has been a very interesting character, and to say the very least about this whole situation is that I'm not impressed with the direction that he's moved in. This is why we don't kind of cross over in there. If you're wondering why we don't have fellowship guests over here, it's not that I hate them. It's just that over here, we just do it differently. I'm not here to pat somebody on the back because they got more subscribers than I do.
No.
I'm out here to call that stuff out. Now, I have a history of people who decided to violate my values and became my enemy because of it. It's all through Comicsgate. That's a smoldering crater. I don't advise anybody go get involved with that right now.
No.
But my involvement with it made me a lot of enemies because those people violated my values, and I'm not here to tow a rope.
Well, EBS and JDA are getting at it again, but that's it kind of.
It's another day that ends in Y. They fight each other all the time because it gets them clicks.
Yep.
None of it's real. This is the thing that what broke us up is that he wanted to run back to Ethan after we had a plan to get out of Comicsgate. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to go back.
No.
I don't care if you're going to make money off of it. I don't care if there's money to be made. Money is not my problem. I don't care. See, this is the thing that perplexed him all the time. Never understood. And this is the thing that perplexed most of the people I work with. I don't do this for money. I don't do it for glory. I don't want my name in lights. I don't want to be sitting on Scrooge McDuck's piles of money. I don't need any of this. What I need is change. I need to know that the children I hope to have someday will grow up with a better chance at life than I have right now. That's the only reason why I do this, is to build a better tomorrow, because I live the proverb from the ancient Greeks that said the world prospers, society prospers, when old men plant the seeds of trees that they will never enjoy the shade of. And I live by that. And that just breaks their mind. They can't do it.
I guess it breaks people's minds. At least you do it too. Stand by my conviction. I stand by my conviction. I fight for what I believe in, and I am.
Whoa.
Oh, did
Sorry.
Too loud?
Yeah, I just cracked out. Sorry. As soon as.
Sorry. There we go. There we go. That should be better because Kitty is laying on that. For me, people call me a grifter and all that shit. It's like, no, I've always stood by for and fought for what I believed in. I've been anti-censorship for like ever, and I've always been not afraid to state my opinion. And if you don't like it, and that's just how it is. I've dealt with a lot of fuckery. I've been channel brigaded by Trump supporters for questioning Trump. I've had people stalk me from the Twitch protest community, and they like had pictures of me from my videos and spread it around their private Discord group. And because of all that fuckery, I'm like, you know what? If people are going to be complete assholes to me because of my opinion, I'm just going to block them. I'm not dealing with it anymore. So that's why I've gotten very block happy, because I'm especially with burner accounts. I'm not dealing with this. I already have enough shit I have to deal with. I don't need to deal with that stuff. Oh, say hi, Kitty.
Well, that and X of the Advance is the dream. And when I say that like this stuff isn't a concern for me, it's more over that the focus is right, like the dream of having a family, of having this sort of safer environment, or at least more prosperous environment anyway. This sort of conversation isn't meant to like I'm not meaning to shame these people. I want to inspire other people to say, yeah, I feel really weird because I don't do these things for gain. I want people to feel justified. That's okay. You're not an anime character. You're not some psycho. I operate the same way. There are tons of other people, like Nerdigans just explained. You're not alone in that you just want to help society. Whatever happens beyond that happens. But you want to focus on making a better tomorrow. And I want to tell you, you're not alone in that. And I want to encourage you, like I've talked about with generating this AI stuff. Go out there and do it. Put your vision of entertainment out there. There's never been more tools to do it than there is right now. So I highly endorse that, because people are hungry for things that reward their expectations. And you know what their expectations are because you have them. And that's just what I want to stress, is that when you go out here and you lay down these things, you make a decision. And early on when I ended up running this channel, I decided I'm not going to make it a point to run through the fellowship through here to try and get them on as guests to get clicks and things like that. They operate on a different mode than we do. I don't like the idea of running a channel based on how many clicks it gets. I know that's very antithetic and it's against the idea of YouTube, but you'll notice through what I report on, most of the time what I talk about is stuff that is actually things that I want to engage with. There are some things that I just don't care about, like the Genshin Impact stuff. The racists are annoying. I'm more focused on the racist than I am Genshin Impact. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you got me. Power Ranger thing, I care about. I'll talk about it. Not a lot of people care about it, obviously. It's gone out of business. But I'll talk about it, You won't see that happen on the other end because it threatens their click ratios. And this is the thing that, again, they have a business to run. I don't. It's very different. I'm not here to make money. I did not start this job to amass a fortune. I came here because I believed in Bounding Into Comics' mission of presenting a right of center viewpoint on pop culture analysis. That's it. Yeah, if I could make money from YT, it would be nice, but I'm not going to bend over for the clicks. And again, like you can look at our channel, it doesn't always go great. It doesn't always go great.
It was going great for me. I originally started my channel as a form of therapy. And then, people, and also to, create a community for me and for other people like me, because I didn't really have any of that. And it ended up being something more. And I saw my mangaka were watching my content. Ken Akamatsu, the mangaka of Yuki Holder, actually has shared my videos out before, which was really cool. But then the algorithm decided to say fuck you, and really has screwed everything up. I went from getting like thousands and tens of thousands of views in some cases to like I'm lucky to get hundreds of views now.
Yep.
And it really sucks. And I cover news stories too. I'll do it. Like I did for stuff that I really believe it's important. Like I covered the Crunchyroll stuff. I covered the recent Crunchyroll situation. I covered some of the stuff for Jump Festa. And one of the stories that is already up on Bounding, which is the Chainsaw Man story, and one that's going to go up for Takapi's Original Sin. Because for Takapi's Original Sin, there's that aspect of it with what the director said that no one is talking about, and I feel like it's so important, and that's why
Need a link to your channel.
Oh yeah, I'll put the link to my channel.
Just drop that in the back, so I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, because it's so important to talk about these things, and yeah, that's how I do my articles for Bounding, my anime articles for Bounding, is I try and find. I cover a lot of the stuff that other people are covering, but I try and find a different twist that no one is talking about that I think is important.
Yep. That's the magic right there. That's the magic of it. But I'm going to put her link in the channel. I'm going to put her link in the chat. Link to her channel right there in the chat. Feel free to pick that up right there. Leslie Target says, last year, Gary got on Jeremy for questioning why they can't talk about stuff like more than stuff they like more than stuff they dislike. Gary yelled at him, it affects the algorithm. And yeah, we've seen that. We've seen that right here at the channel, is that when we were talking about Sonic for too long, we did a couple of Sonic videos back to back that didn't have negative opinions of the character, and we saw it suffer. Now, again, this has more to do with that we have curated an audience, mostly Mr. Trent, because he built most of the audience here. It's curated an audience that wants to be more aggressively engaged in pop culture commentary. And so I don't think that's bad. No. We obviously cater to that audience as well, but you'll see us talk about things that we do enjoy here and stuff like that, because again, I don't believe that people do well in a angry environment all the time. And again, I'm not saying that the Fellowship does, but what they balance it out with is their personal lives. You'll hear them talking about what they did with their vacation or what they did while they were away on this trip. Chrissy Mayr's got her comedy career. Jeremy and the Geeks and Gamers guys are constantly having meetups and going to parks and things like that. Beardo and Jay are going out. So they have this personal angle to talk about things, which the algorithm is much more forgiving with. It treats that as side conversation, as in a different instead of a different topic. Whereas if you go putting out videos that say, I want to talk about how great Star Wars used to be, there goes your algorithm, because your channel's not talking about how great Star Wars is all the time. Now, suddenly you're talking about how great Star Wars is, and the algorithm only understands you to be anti-Star Wars, so it doesn't know where to send your content. And that's what happens. It's not so much that they don't want to engage with that content. It's that it really just nosedives any effort for quite a while until you either make a 180-degree switch, which, by the way, that takes 28 days. We watched that when I took over the channel here, that we saw that with me running the content as opposed to Mr. Trent, it just dove right off. It took us almost 6 months to get back up going again. But those first 28 days was the YouTube algorithm resampling the channel based on what my uploads were. And that completely screwed everything up. So that's why those guys avoid that. Too.
Yep. Same with the Bounding articles too. It's taken a while for, Bounding to get back up and going. But I mean, I think Bounding as a website compared to when I started is a lot better. And I've noticed a lot of people have been a lot happier with the content that Bounding's put out because it doesn't have as much religious aspect, that religious touch to it anymore. Because that's what people were starting to get really frustrated about because they don't want religion like shoved in their face. Sorry, John. That's just the reality.
Well, Mr. Trent had a confrontational style of reporting, whereas we have a more, I wouldn't say it's entirely like analytical, scientifically backed kind of analysis.
No.
But ours is much less hard target, if you will.
Yeah.
Whereas Mr. Trent like to find a hard target to form his stories around, which again,
it's fine.
Is way you do it, but the new Bounding functions more on right of center appeal. About, hey, did you know? As opposed to you will know, and it is more easy to attract people with honey and vinegar. We're a little crunchy.
Oh, there we go. Stupid headset. There we go. That should be better.
I wonder why it's doing that.
I don't know why. It's weird.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that. Figure that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how that goes with this kind of stuff, and it's why we reserve like the stuff we like for like the streams. I try to make sure that the channel is presenting good stuff in the stream, so that way you in the chat can jump in and join and have conversations with us about it, and it doesn't really reflect too much on the overall algorithm that we do here, as opposed to making series of videos that talk about how cool and awesome the McDonald's Evangelion commercials have been.
Yeah, they have been so much fun.
So obviously we can't play the audio to these. I hope we can play the commercial itself. We haven't got struck yet for it, so we'll find out.
Yeah, there's been at least like 2 more, I think, right?
Yep. This is one of them, I think.
Yeah. I think this is the new one that came out today. Yeah.
What I have to appreciate is that they're animating some of these in this square.
I like that because it's very, very classic.
Yep.
It takes you back to when shows were in that ratio, right?
Yeah, here's the other one. There we go. And this is Square TV, yeah. This is apparently some scene from something, so that's neat. And then there's a burger. That makes sense.
Yes. It's just a burger. That looks so cool, like the Fry Eva. Like, I mean...
But the chin, it's a cheeseburger, look.
Yeah, the chin is a cheeseburger, too. Like, this is just not fair. I want one of those so bad. Like, McDonald's Japan is just getting everything.
It would be cool and awesome if it was in the state. Yeah, it's from the original Eva TV series. Yeah, that's right. That's why it's in the square. But
yeah, we don't get anything cool anymore because we don't get anything cool anymore because the US sucks right now. Everything's just a huge downgrade nowadays. Oh, there's one of the transformations.
Yeah, this is the old anime. I'm trying to find the new.
There's the changeable one, like the whole thing. Oh yeah, this. How is he holding that hamburger? Dude, it's so awesome.
So this, I'm gonna take the risk because this is so adorable. Wait till you hear Asuka shout "hamburger." It's hilarious. Listen to this. Hamburger. And it's like, look at the side. That's a building. That's a dock. This chicken burger is the size of. It's bigger than Manhattan. This is viewable from space. Look at the size of this thing.
God, it's making me hungry.
That's the point. But I love that. The way she says that. This is hamburger.
I love it.
But yeah, Ray, of course. I don't know if I would take DoorDash from Ray. I think I'd be terrified if that showed up at my door with my delivery. But yeah, these are all very whoop. That went by pretty fast. So you got Masato as the delivery girl, making sure that you get your burgers on time. And then you have the Council of
Cancel the
Leave-
fries. It's the
fries.
Frylock Council.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you could make them all into like Frylock. That would be.
It'd be the Frylock Council.
But there's all the Avas eating cheeseburgers. So that was the Angels' grand plan to defeat the Avas, is to give them congestive heart failure. So that's good. You know, what did we learn from the Americans?
Heart failure works every time.
But yeah, and then of course they have the McAva here, and that's been a fun, like, type Ronald, I guess that one is.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if there was an anime Ronald McDonald playing one of them?
Well, well, they should redress that character from he ended up twin piloting Lilith with Shinji, the other guy. He was an angel. He was like the Ray that didn't have the mind problem. I don't know. Anyway, that character, he would be excellent. You just give him red hair and just call him Ronald. That's very simple. Yeah, DoorDash Ray would be less dangerous. Well, nah, when you really get down to who they are, I don't think so. Because Ray is like, she's Eve, right? Or Lilith, right? Or
Yeah.
Adam. She's a clone of, is she a clone of, no. She's a clone of Adam. Because Adam made little things and Lilith made big things, right? Because all the Avas are clones of Lilith, right? Did I have that right, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the Ramiel fight. Yeah. The high pitched singing, yeah, that it made in order to summon the sound lasers. Yeah. It'd be cool to have model kits of those. Yeah, well, like the 7-Eleven Gundams. Yeah.
I think eventually they'll do it.
Well, if not, somebody out there's gonna 3D print these things. So.
Oh, for sure. I think someone that gets one of these Evas will do it, hands down.
The transforming one. Where did it go? Pointed it out. What is this now? Oh, VTubers. Okay.
Yeah, those were VTubers.
Huh. Well, we'll probably get that soon. VTubers have become massively more popular here recently. Where did the transforming one go?
You missed it. It was up there. It was scrolled up there. There was the schematic. There. It's right. There's the schematic right there for the Frylock.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That schematic is so sick.
But yeah, so we've got that, and apparently this Curious George.
Yeah, they're getting. There's like,
well.
Yeah, they're doing Tom and I think they did Tom and Jerry, and Baskin Robbins Japan is getting a Tom and Jerry collab too.
Yeah, it's some anniversary for Tom and Jerry as well.
Yeah, which is weird that we're not getting anything because Tom and Jerry is a Western property.
Some kind of children's book, I think.
Yeah.
Lucky Cat Lemons or something. But yeah, and then you've got I think those are VTubers, Genshin characters maybe.
No, those are VTubers. Yeah. I think. Yeah.
You have VTubers on the front of your building now. I don't know. I just really appreciate that the Japanese are still trying. You know, they haven't settled into everything's political. What even is this?
That looks gross.
What?
I think that's fish. I think that's fish. But you want to see something? You want to see something very frustrating? I saw this when I was covering Bleach today with Gerard. Like, I swear, Period, you just cannot do Gerard right, and it really pissed me off when I saw this scene in particular, and compared it to the panel. You will understand, Cider, when you see it. Like, look at that. That who is this man? That is not Gerard at all. There's no blood. The abs are wrong. That musculature is ass. And the helmet, like, this is, and also the jawline. That is not the same man. Look at that.
Huh. It's like they tried to do Thor.
Well, Gerard is kind of based on Thor.
No. I mean, like the animators. Like they leaned
and
into Thor.
Also, his nipples are missing. You notice that?
Yeah, that's part of that censorship thing. I think that they're doing.
So now there's male censorship.
Well, I think they have to. Like, you think about what we saw in those European kickbacks on Pokemon. Where
Yeah,
Pikachu had his arm up, and apparently that was saluting Hitler. So that's how crazy they get.
but like it's just so wild how like horrible this is. They put like all the budget on like the most bizarre art and animation. Some of it looked good, but it's like, dude, not in this. On like a simple design.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough, and for me, I don't really understand what the situation is, why they do this, other than the fact that they just don't have enough animators to pull off a more detailed character. I think that at the end of the day, they have to sit down and say, what can we make him look consistently like across action, emotion, and stationary views, and this is what they did. Like it looks like armor.
That's
Like,
what I
the
thought.
abs
It looked
look
like
like
flesh
armor.
armor.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like muscle at all. And he looks a lot smaller too. You notice that? And then that jaw is just so, and the chin is so jacked. It just, I was
Like
like,
I said,
who
they
the hell
tried
is
to do
this
Thor.
man?
He looks more like Thor than he does Gerald. I mean, I get that Thor's inspiration here, but this character does not make me think of Thor.
No.
I'm not thinking of Thor. I get the helmet with wings. Yeah, Viking. I got that far. But this makes me think of Thor. I can't not think of a what if episode of Thor who has the weird slit eyes that Lady Thor had, or as I called her, Thunder Thighs. Yep.
Oh God! Like this is supposed to be Perriot's like, because this is Perriot Films, and they invested a shit ton of money into Bleach Thousand Year Blood War, and
Apparently not Gerald.
Apparently not him, and not Basby either.
Well,
and to an extent, not Askin either, because Askin looked like he had a flesh armor too. And there was a scene with Yoshiro where he was getting stabbed in the back, and it looked like he had like flesh wings because there was no shading to like do this to show the separation between the shoulder and where it connected to the arm. It just looks so weird. There's so many just questionable choices going on with the art and animation. Like I have to wonder, did all the budget just like go towards like the paying for the talent for the production team? That's why I gotta wonder.
Well, and again, I mean, they prioritized different things, and quite obviously, they didn't think that this was something they needed to lean into, and instead, they wanted to really amp up that manga style animation that they did there a couple of months ago.
They did some good stuff. Like the season had some really good stuff, but then there's some where it's like, what the hell? But then there's
true.
But then there's stuff where everyone has just lost their mind on, which is Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta being canon. People cannot accept. Here's the full sequence for this. People can't accept that Dragon Ball Daima is canon. I'm happy that we got Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, because it just, for me, it solidifies that Ultra Ego is, I feel like, is incomplete, at least the one we saw in the manga, and that then when we get complete Ultra Ego is going to be like a Super Saiyan 4, a canon Super Saiyan 4, and it will only be for Vegeta. But like people seem to forget is that in the Dragon Ball Super manga, because people are like, why didn't we see Vegeta go Super Saiyan 3? Well, he doesn't like using forms that waste his energy. So in Dragon Ball Super manga, in the Goku Black arc, we saw him in Super Saiyan God, but when he punched Goku Black, he used blue for just a second. And that's because Super Saiyan God doesn't use as much stamina as Super Saiyan Blue, because he wasn't perfected Super Saiyan Blue yet. So it's understandable why he didn't use Super Saiyan 3.
Well, the reality is that Akira Toriyama keeps forgetting about that form. That's the reality behind
Is that too? But like also Super Saiyan, remember what was said in the Boo arc too, about how Super Saiyan 3 drained a lot of energy.
Yeah, that Kinkai was screaming at Goku that it's going to drain away your energy to do that. So.
And Vegeta didn't perfect, obviously Vegeta didn't perfect Super Saiyan 3 either, because remember, this is before Beerus arrived. And then after Beerus arrived and we saw Super Saiyan God, Vegeta was like, screw Super Saiyan 3, I'm going to focus on God instead.
So I honestly don't believe that Vegeta ever went Super Saiyan 3. You know, before this point.
Before this point, no. I don't believe it either. I think this is like he may have in training before this point. Could have, but
to be honest with you, when you get down to that form, it really it rates up there with Super Saiyan Beast with Gohan. It's just ridiculous, over the top, and useless because it's purely Super Saiyan 3 was purely made as what do we do now? that's it. That if you ask Akira, if Akira Toriyama actually wrote this out somewhere, I don't know, or said it in an interview, but he did admit he forgot about Super Saiyan 3. But I guarantee you, the editors told him you need to give him a new power up, and he didn't know what to do. So longer hair and no eyebrows was the craziest thing he could think of, and that was what shaped Super Saiyan 3, and that's why he forgot about it, because it wasn't a true continuation, legacy power, I guess, of the Saiyans, because he just created it out of nowhere.
Well,
that's my biggest issue with it. Is just it seems so orphaned.
No, I think with what a lot of people like about Super Saiyan 3 is it's kind of like a regression back into the Ozaru state. Because remember, Saiyans are Ozaru. They have their ape power. So that's why...
Wasn't that Super Saiyan 4, though?
Super Saiyan 4 is when they fully go into the... tap into the ape power. But Super Saiyan 4 is not canon, because GT is not canon. This is canon.
But it did show Super Saiyan 4, didn't it? I thought the two of them were showing off their power levels to each other.
Not in not here. We don't have Super Saiyan 4 is not canon. I think Toriyama is probably, I'm hoping he did the design before he passed away. But my guess is that's what I said, for Complete Ultra Ego, it will be his take on Super Saiyan 4, and it will only be for Vegeta. But I feel like...
So a purple Super Saiyan 4?
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking?
Either that or it'll be black. It'd be kind of like a reverse for what... Because remember, Goku had Ultra Instinct Sign, which was black. And then for Complete Ultra Instinct, it was white. Or silver. So you could have a reverse where it's, that we have the purple for Incomplete Ultra Ego, and then have it turn black for Complete Ultra Ego. Could go that route. Or it could be a darker purple.
I don't really know. I think it would be better if Vegeta went red like Jiren, because I think that's what it was supposed to be.
Oh, for like for an Ultra Ego, like have it be like go from like a purple to like a deep red, and then have like the tail and everything for like a Complete Ultra Ego. Yeah, I could see
that way the red fur is preserved,
Yeah,
that's what
I
a
could
lot
see
of people
that.
like about that is the red fur in that design.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that working.
Because Jiren was meant to be because his power level is characterized by fire. When he arrives at that Ultra Instinct level with Goku at the end of the Tournament of Power there, he powers up rather, and it burns the entire arena.
Yeah, and he was gonna be like a god. He had like the power of a god of destruction too. So that would make sense if it went from purple to red.
Or just the fact that that's how Vegeta's expressed, because his is powered by pride the same way that Jiren's is powered by pride.
That is true. So yeah, I can see that.
Again, we see that in Beerus. Beerus is very prideful of his fighting prowess. So if it tracks that to be a destroyer, you have to be full of yourself.
Which is true for Vegeta.
Right.
And I will say this I feel like part of the reason why we're getting Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is that we're going to get like a Super Saiyan 3, either Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta or Super Saiyan 3 Vegeto. Because remember, we had Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks?
Yeah, and that's where this kind of looks a lot like that character for me. It was hard for me not to see Gotenks in Vegeta. So.
That was the first thing I thought. It was like, oh yeah, we're after like the stuff with Ego. It's like, yeah, we're gonna definitely get a Super Saiyan 3, either Super Saiyan 3 Vegeto, and we saw Patara earrings. Like there was someone posted like images of Patara earrings being shown for sale or something like that, and I'm like, yeah, I could see a Super Saiyan 3 Vegeto being here more than a Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta.
That one's already been done. So, All the forms are just bleh. The original series is where this ends. Power up when you need it, nothing else. Just forcing power up the same way as it's forcing diversity.
Well, Vegeta was about to die, so this kind of wasn't forced.
Well, no, I get what they're talking about with the forms, though, because they go on and explain. Bowsette goes on to explain.
No need for
or
the
anything.
yeah,
And it is formitis. The power scaling got crazy after the Scouter became useless to him, and I do miss the Scouter because it added more drama, in my opinion, to them. Other than them just closing their eyes and be like, "Whoa, this foe is really strong." We said that last season, but this guy's really strong. Grr. And it's goofy. I'll admit that. And the only reason why I stay with Dragon Ball is that at the heart of it, there's an actual rewarding tale with it. The power-ups get annoying, right? I personally believe that the biggest mistake made with this franchise was going beyond Super Saiyan. I honestly think that the Super Saiyan should have been the peak of power, and that Goku should have went on to continue to fight these different characters and have to rely on different fighting styles to overcome them. Of course, having his rage power-ups and things like that give him the tipping point. But I think Super Saiyan, Ascended Saiyan was silly. I think that Super Saiyan 3 was, of course, just way over the top. And 4, I do like 4. I won't get me wrong. I won't get you wrong. I do like 4. I don't like where it came from, but I like the concept of the Ozaru and the Super Saiyan being pushed together into one entity. I like that. I think that's smart. But other than that, I really don't like the other Blue, Super Saiyan Rose. Like, come on.
Black.
I know, but that was like, come on, guys. Like, you can't make even with God power, he isn't a Saiyan anymore at that point. When you start changing the Super Saiyan expression to be pink, he's not a Saiyan anymore. Because Saiyans don't turn pink.
But
it's just one of
you
those
gotta
things.
admit though, you gotta admit though, when in Super though, Goku and Vegeta are learning different styles, which is nice. And the thing that I like about like Vegeta's arc, especially in Super, is what Beerus said about him having to like get rid of for him to get stronger. And what's been holding him back is that he's carrying the weight of the Saiyans on his shoulders, and that he needs to just let go. And once he lets go of that, then he can become stronger. And that's how he was able to achieve Ultra Ego. That's what I liked.
One of the things that really is telling about Vegeta is he refers to himself as the Prince of Saiyan still, despite being, by all intents and purposes, legally allowed to claim kingship if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He's legally allowed to do that. So the thing I want to stress about that is that Vegeta does not want to give up the old. No. That's why he calls himself a prince. Not that he has daddy issues. It's that he's still stuck in Planet Vegeta coming back someday. That's the saddest part of it all, is that even as a child, when it was taken from him, he still won't believe it's gone forever. And so Beerus is absolutely right with that analysis. And I think a lot of guys needed to hear that. Maybe not from anime, maybe not exactly, but they don't really have a lot of figures telling them that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it is an important lesson to learn, especially from a character that's very self-propelled, like Vegeta, to learn that the past is the past, it's gone forever. Stop living there. All this crap, again, like some of it does, sure, but I think more of a...
Like Vegeta's arc has just been so powerful, like in Super. That arc is just powerful, like when we see him go back to Namek and face his, confront his past, because remember, he's killed a shit ton of Namekians, and he had to confront that in the moral arc, which was really powerful. Goku, in terms of like what we saw him in his training with like Mirrors and becoming Ultra Instinct, he had to realize, okay, I can't be so focused. I need to just let my body move. And then, the power will come with it. And I thought that was great. But yeah, out of all the characters in the Dragon Ball franchise, I'd say Piccolo and Vegeta have had the best story arcs in terms of character growth.
Piccolo was Akira's favorite.
Yeah.
And Goku, much like Superman, doesn't have much of an arc. He's got that, he's got the immovable morality.
Yeah.
Goku approaches everything. Again, we all laugh at it and make fun of it, but he approaches everything that just wants to fight somebody.
Well,
he doesn't have.
He doesn't like
have a vendetta against them.
No, he doesn't. But remember, he went from like, oh, I just want to fight them, fuck everything, to like, I actually care and I want to
Protecting
see
something.
it's protecting someone. It was the same thing with Vegeta. He was all about himself and about the Saiyans, and then he eventually fell in love with Bulma and had, fell in love with his family on Earth and wanted to protect his, adopted family.
Right. Well, technically not adopted.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
his second
He
family.
wanted to protect them.
Yeah.
Well, and what Bowsette explains here is that as Bowsette's explaining that there wasn't an official process of power for Vegeta to assume the legal right to. Well, technically that happened a lot in the past where where like everybody was wiped out and there was only one guy left to be like, I'm king now. If you don't like it, tough. Technically, there's only 6 Saiyans, and 4 of them don't have a problem with Vegeta calling himself king because it doesn't mean anything at all.
I think Bulma would be fine with it because she likes being queen.
Well, again, it's one of those things where like it would seem silly if Vegeta did that because it would be he's called himself the prince for so long, rather than abandoning that identity. He's obviously going to keep it, and that's because it's sort of like one of those nicknames from college. Even if it doesn't have any meaning to you when you're 40, you still got that nickname, and that's what it is for Vegeta at the end of the day. I would prefer it though if they officially acknowledged him as the King of Saiyans, because who the hell is going to usurp that? It's not like Goku wants to be the King of Saiyans. He doesn't care about that. So, yeah, this is a good question. Leslie Tarkin asked, "Who is your favorite DBZ character?"
For me, it is Future Trunks. I love him. He was my favorite character when I grew up watching Dragon Ball. I had my first plushie actually is right there. It's my Future Trunks plushie. And I got him when I was like 13. I love him.
I started out as a big fan of Goku, and then I realized I resonate more with Vegeta. Not because I'm a badass and whatever. It's because it's a lot of that personal strength dialogue that's difficult to get around as a young man that I resonate with. Whereas Goku's not talking about that mainly. As a young guy, I really resonated with the concept of just meeting a challenge head on, grabbing it by the horns. And now that I'm in my mid-30s, coming up on the hill, now that I'm seeing that, it's seeing that Vegeta has a much more deeper lesson, I guess, to teach people like me who are centered on personal strength. So, yeah. The King of Space Debris, all hell. That's just it. It's like it's not so much that I get what you're talking about that isn't there, but I mean, like, he's almost 50 as far as like years present on Earth go, and I think that I think it's time to stop being a prince. It's nobody else is to do it. It doesn't mean anything in the long run, and also it gives him another thing to punch somebody in the face over if they said that to him, right?
Yeah.
And I think they did. I think it was that Lord Slug that said that to him.
I don't remember.
It was one of the early movie villains that was talking to him.
No, it wasn't Lord Slug because Vegeta wasn't there for Lord Slug.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so it was another invader.
It would be Metal Cooler.
Oh, okay, yeah, it must have been.
Because he was the first one. It was
Maybe
either
it was the abridged that said it.
Probably. But something I do want to mention that I love about Dragon Ball Daima, there's 2 things. One, the Tamagamis are everything. I love these designs. I love the way they move. And I also love, and I've said it before, I love how the Demon Realm looks. That Demon Realm is just beautiful. And every episode, it just ceases to amaze me how gorgeous it is.
Well, I don't have anything else. We're at the end of it here, about 3 hours and plus in. So,
but yeah, there's a lot of. We'll talk about probably in the next couple of weeks the winter anime season because it's starting pretty soon. Mm-hmm. There's quite a few series coming out for sure. But yeah, the Dragon Ball Daima dub does start on January 10th. Dragon Ball Daima's sub is going to. There's no episode next week. It comes back on with episode 13 comes back on January 10th, I believe, as well. Yeah,
Right, they get 2 weeks off at the beginning of the year. That's right.
yeah. So there won't be an anime episode next week. But I'm hoping everyone is enjoying Daima like I am. I like the old school Dragon Ball adventure. I really am liking how it's done. I know a lot of people don't like it because of the Dragon Ball comedy, the old school Dragon Ball comedy, but a lot of people have been pointing out the Star Wars references because Toriyama is a Star Wars fan. So you're going to see a lot of that if you haven't noticed it. But yeah, this really does. I don't know if you've noticed it, Cider, but this really does feel like Toriyama's love letter
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and it has to be, because he's, regardless of like his health issues, man was coming up on being almost 70, right?
He was in his
early 60s.
Yeah, he was in his early 60s.
Yeah, so like he was ready to pack it in. He wasn't going to keep doing this until he was 90. He was obviously going to want to retire, and so this was a good way to start a send-off, if not be the send-off. Maybe the last episode was originally intended to be Akira Toriyama drawing a manga panel and then looking in the camera and saying, "I'll see you next time." And that's the end of it, where his run with it is done, and he passes it off to team the Capsule Corp group, Dragon Ball group.
That's actually a good question. Will we see something similar to the last Dragon Ball super chapter in the finale where Piccolo waves to the audience in the final episode? That would be very interesting.
Well, he had some kind of send-off in mind. You don't make a project like Daima without it being like your swan song for your career, like you're out. They're reanimating whole sequences of the original anime.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll see you on Wednesday. There'll be more anime here.
And also before I forget, we do have a Dragon Ball Super one-shot for it's Goten and Trunks. That's in February, and people are speculating that the manga will come back in March, which would be the month that Toriyama died.
Well, they gave it a year. That seems very Japanesey.
Yeah, and it would be very poetic, wouldn't it, to have it return on the same month that Toriyama died.
They may avoid that too because they don't want to over corporatize his death. So who knows? They've obviously made their decision to keep doing this without him, which is going to piss off a lot of people to begin with. So I don't know.
It's not going to piss off the Japanese fans, from what I've seen. The Japanese fans were expecting Dragon Ball to come back, Dragon Ball Super manga to come back. I don't know. The American fans, I think, are fine with it too, from what I've seen. But yeah, everyone knew that the Dragon Ball Super manga was going to come back at some point because he passed the torch on to Toyotaro. So they knew it. And I guess from what I remember that Toyotaro and Toriyama were working on stuff leading up to his death. So there's plenty of content. But there was just a dispute going on between Shueisha and Tokyo Capsule Corp that was kind of holding it back. So I got to double check and see if I'll do it maybe like tomorrow. I'll see if what's going on with that dispute.
Well, and that's it for us here. We've been going here for about 3 hours, 17 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So tune in on Wednesday. We'll talk more about AI generated anime. We'll have hopefully the everybody voiced up for that one. So we'll have the complete intro ready for you coming on Wednesday at 8 p.m. We're not changing that. Don't worry. Still the same time it starts. We'll still be talking about anime. Tokyo Happy Hour will still be at the beginning of it all. So don't worry about that at all. Just new intro, maybe a new logo up in the corner too, just to make everything look all fancy. So you have to wait and find out. Until then, we'll catch you on Wednesday, and good luck out there.
Mama, we must run. The Wendigo Yakuza are here.
In the night, shadows dance with subtle grace. Secrets hide in every space. Velvet skies and sapphire dreams. Cities pulse, electric beams. Lonely hearts in shadowed bars. Fading tales